I stare at my phone, reading the message for the 20th time, but the words still don't make sense. My hands are shaking so badly I nearly drop it. Congratulations. You've been selected as a contestant on Love's Second Shot. Your friend Jenny Davis nominated you for our special reunion season. The rest blurs as my stomach lurches. Jenny. Of course it was Jenny. My best friend since college who ghosted me 6 months ago after her engagement imploded. The same Jenny who used to help me by pointing out which outfits made me look fat or suggesting maybe I should tone down my personality on dates. I sink onto my couch, the leather cool against my bare legs. Outside my apartment window, Seattle's endless drizzle matches my mood perfectly. A notification pops up. Jenny's posted something new on Instagram. Because apparently I'm still enough of a masochist to follow her. Can't wait to see my bestie Paisley on Love's Second Shot. Time to help her find her happily ever after. Bored reality TV. Or besties or not makeover. The photo shows her perfect white smile, gleaming blonde hair, and designer sundress. I'm tagged in it, but you can't actually see me. Typical. My phone buzzes with a call from my sister. Tell me you've seen it, she says when I answer. Oh, I've seen it. My voice sounds hollow even to me. She signed me up for a dating show, without asking, as a joke. It's not just any dating show, though. Isn't this the one where she got engaged to Derek 6 months ago? Yeah. I laugh, but it comes out more like a sob. The same Derek who called off the wedding when he caught her cheating. And now she wants me to go on the reunion season? It's cruel, even for her. So don't do it, my sister says simply. Tell them no. I open my mouth to agree, but something stops me. Maybe it's the memory of Jenny accidentally spilling red wine on my dress at her engagement party, or how she always introduced me as her sweet single friend, with that little head tilt of pity, or the way she'd somehow turn every conversation back to how lucky she was to find Derek, her soulmate, while I was still alone. Actually, I say slowly, maybe I will do it. What? Are you insane? Think about it. She signed me up expecting I'd either say no and look like a coward or go on and humiliate myself. She thinks I'm too scared, too awkward, too me to handle it. The more I talk, the more certain I become. But what if I went on and actually won? Paisley. My sister's voice has that careful tone people use with unstable relatives. This isn't you. You hate attention. You get nervous ordering coffee. She's right. I'm the girl who apologizes to furniture when I bump into it. The one who still blushes when someone compliments my shoes. The responsible elementary school teacher who wears sensible cardigans and hasn't taken a sick day in 3 years. But I'm also the girl who's sick of being Jenny's favorite punchline. Maybe it's time for a change, I say, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounds. Maybe it's time someone showed Jenny what it feels like to be the joke. My sister is quiet for a long moment. You know she'll be there, right? The promos say all the exes from last season are coming back. Good. I stand up and walk to my bedroom mirror, really looking at myself for the first time in months. Brown hair that could use some highlights, decent skin, a few extra pounds I could probably lose. But underneath it all, something new in my eyes. Something that looks almost like determination. Tell me you at least have a plan, my sister sighs. I think about all the secrets Jenny told me over the years. All the things she made me promise never to repeat. All the real stories behind her carefully curated social media life. Oh, I say, watching my reflection smile. I think I might have a few ideas. My phone buzzes with another message, this time from the show's producers. They need my final answer by midnight. My hands aren't shaking anymore as I type my response. I'm in. The studio lights are hotter than I expected. Sweat trickles down my back as I perch on the edge of an oversized velvet armchair, trying not to fidget while the makeup artist touches up my face. Around me, chaos reigns as crew members dart back and forth, adjusting equipment and shouting instructions. 5 minutes until your preliminary interview. A production assistant with a clipboard materializes beside me. Remember, just be yourself. Right. Myself. The self that agreed to this madness 3 weeks ago in a moment of temporary insanity. The self that's now wearing a dress that costs more than my monthly rent, trying not to smear the first professional makeup job I've had since prom. Paisley! The voice hits me like an ice bath. Oh my God, you actually came. Jenny glides across the room like she's on a runway, all perfect hair and practiced smile. She's wearing a white sundress that probably costs more than my car. Before I can react, she's pulling me into a hug that feels more like a tactical strike. I just knew you'd be perfect for this, she gushes, loud enough for nearby crew members to hear. You've been so lonely since that disaster with what's-his-name last year. My cheeks burn. There was no disaster, no what's-his-name. She knows that. But now everyone within earshot thinks I'm some sad, desperate case she's nobly helping. Thanks for thinking of me, I manage, proud of how steady my voice sounds. It was quite a surprise. Well, someone had to do something. She lowers her voice to a stage whisper. I mean, how long has it been? 2 years? 3? Before I can respond, the production assistant returns. Jenny, they need you in wardrobe. Paisley, you're up first. Jenny squeezes my arm. Don't be nervous. Just try to relax and be, natural. She pauses. Maybe a little more animated than usual, though, for the cameras? I watch her sashay away, my carefully manicured nails digging into my palms. Deep breaths. Remember the plan. The interview set is intimidating, all sleek furniture and mood lighting. Logan, the host, gives me a warm smile as I take my seat. He's shorter in person than he looks on TV, but his presence fills the room. So, Paisley, he begins once the cameras roll. Tell us about your relationship with Jenny. I've rehearsed this moment for weeks. Jenny's been my best friend since college. We've been through everything together. I pause, letting vulnerability creep into my voice. When she got engaged to Derek last season, I was so happy for her. It felt like a fairy tale. And now? Logan leans forward, sensing a story. Now. I swallow hard. Now I just want what she had. That connection, that chemistry. Derek seemed to really see her, Logan's eyebrows rise slightly at Derek's name. Good. Plant the seed. Speaking of Derek, he says, how would you feel if... A commotion erupts off camera. Jenny bursts onto the set, still wearing her regular clothes. Sorry to interrupt, but there's something you should know about Paisley. My heart stops. She's actually been in love with Derek for years, Jenny announces. She used to talk about him constantly during my engagement. I thought bringing her on the show might help her move on, but maybe that was a mistake. The room goes silent. The cameras swing toward me. Jenny's smile is sympathetic, but her eyes are triumphant. And suddenly, I understand. This was her plan all along. Not just to humiliate me, but to make me look like the pathetic friend who coveted her relationship. To make sure Derek would never look at me twice. But she's forgotten something crucial. I know her secrets too. That's not true, I say quietly, looking directly into the camera. But it's interesting that Jenny would say that, considering what really happened the night before her engagement ended. Jenny's smile freezes. Logan leans forward. What happened the night before? I feel a calm settle over me, the kind that comes with absolute certainty. Should I tell them, Jenny? Or would you prefer to? The look she gives me could freeze hell. But beneath the fury, I see something else. Fear. Good, she should be afraid. Because this is just the beginning. Actually, I say to Logan, maybe we should save that story for the main show. I wouldn't want to spoil anything. As the cameras cut, Jenny storms off the set. Logan gives me an appraising look that says he knows good television when he sees it. I sink back in my chair, heart pounding. I've just declared war on live television. There's no going back now. And somewhere in this building, Derek is waiting to film his own interview. I wonder what secrets he's planning to reveal. The craft services table becomes my sanctuary between takes. It's quieter here in the back corner of the studio, and arranging cheese cubes on a paper plate gives my trembling hands something to do. I'm still rattled from my confrontation with Jenny, though I'm trying not to show it. The breeze pretty good, a familiar voice says behind me. But I'd avoid the hummus. Definitely saw someone double dip earlier. I freeze, a grape halfway to my mouth. I'd know that voice anywhere. I'd heard it enough times through Jenny's speakerphone, always on display during our coffee dates. I turn slowly. Derek looks exactly like he does on TV, but somehow more real, more human. There's a small coffee stain on his blue button-down, and his dark hair is slightly messy, like he's been running his hands through it. He's holding an empty paper cup and wearing the kind of tired smile that makes my chest tight. Paisley, right? He extends his hand. Jenny's friend? Former friend, I want to say. Instead, I shake his hand and manage a weak, "Hi. I caught the end of your interview earlier." He grabs a handful of grapes. "That was interesting." Heat creeps up my neck. "Oh, God. Look, about what Jenny said." "Hey, no explanation needed." He holds up his hands. "I learned the hard way not to believe everything Jenny says." The bitterness in his voice surprises me. 6 months later, and the wound still sounds fresh. "I'm sorry," I blurt out, "about what happened with the engagement. I should have—" I stop myself. Should have what? Told him about Jenny's other relationships? Warned him somehow? Should have what? His eyes sharpen with interest. Before I can respond, another contestant approaches the table. Ivy, I think her name is. She's gorgeous in that effortless way that usually makes me feel like a potato in comparison, but her smile seems genuine. "Sorry to interrupt," she says, not sounding sorry at all. "But Derek, they need you in makeup." She turns to me once he's gone. "Word of advice? Be careful there." "What do you mean?" She lowers her voice. "Jenny's been telling everyone you're obsessed with her ex, playing the sympathy card, poor her, having such a disturbed friend." She rolls her eyes. Classic Jenny move. My stomach drops. "You know Jenny? We did pageants together back in college. Let's just say this isn't her first time playing these games." Ivy glances around before continuing. "Listen, a bunch of us are meeting in my room later. Room 512. Come by if you want the real story about Jenny's engagement." I spend the next 3 hours trying to focus on filming group scenes, but my mind keeps drifting to Ivy's invitation. It could be a trap. Jenny could have put her up to this. But what if it's not? At 10 p.m., I find myself standing outside room 512, hand raised to knock. The door opens before I make contact. "You came." Ivy pulls me inside. 2 other contestants are already there. Marin, a kindergarten teacher from Portland, and Jordan, whose job was listed as social media consultant. "Show her," Jordan says immediately. Ivy pulls out her phone and plays a video. It's shaky footage from what looks like a bar, dated the night before Jenny's engagement ended. My heart stops when I recognize Jenny in the background, pressed against a wall, kissing someone who is definitely not Derek. "There's more," Marin says quietly. "She's been playing this game for years, finding guys with potential, getting engaged, then creating drama for maximum publicity. Derek was just the latest." "But why?" My voice sounds small. "Followers," Jordan says bluntly. "Brand deals. She's built her whole career on being the relatable girl next door who just can't find lasting love. Check her engagement rates after each broken relationship." I think about all the times Jenny insisted on documenting our friendship for social media, all the carefully staged candid moments, all the times she'd post about supporting her less fortunate friends. "We're all just content to her," Ivy says, watching my face. "But here's the thing. She's not the only one who knows how to play this game." She pulls out a notebook filled with dates, screenshots, and what looks like a flowchart of Jenny's relationships. "So," Ivy says with a smile that reminds me suddenly of a shark, "want to help us take her down?" I stare at the evidence of Jenny's manipulation, feeling something shift inside me. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about justice. "Tell me everything," I say. Behind me, the TV in Ivy's room plays a promo for tomorrow's filming. Jenny's voice rings out, "Trust is everything in relationships." I've never heard anything more ironic in my life. Morning filming starts with a group date, some contrived painting class where we're all supposed to create portraits of our perfect love. I'm trying to focus on my canvas, but my mind keeps drifting to Ivy's evidence from last night. The dates, the screenshots, the calculated pattern of Jenny's deceptions. That's interesting. Derek's voice startles me from my thoughts. He's standing behind me, studying my painting with barely concealed amusement. I look at my canvas properly for the first time. Somehow I've created what appears to be a dark storm cloud over a burning building. "I'm processing some things," I mutter, reaching for fresh colors. He pulls up the stool next to mine. "Want to talk about it?" "Yes, I think. I want to tell you everything. About Jenny's other fiancés. About how she planned each breakup for maximum exposure. About how she—" "Paisley!" Jenny materializes between us, camera crew in tow. "Your painting is so emotional. Is this about your last breakup?" My brush snaps in my hand. "Actually, I've never—" "It must be so hard. she continues, voice dripping with sympathy. Watching everyone else find love while you're still. She trails off meaningfully. The cameras zoom in on my face. This is exactly what she wants, to make me look pathetic and desperate on national television. But two can play this game. You know what this painting's really about, Jenny? I turn to face her fully. It's about the night before your engagement ended. Remember, at the copper room? The color drains from her face. The copper room? Derek asks sharply. Oh, you didn't know about that? I keep my voice light, innocent. Jenny told me she was meeting her sister there, but cut. A producer steps in. Let's take 5. Jenny grabs my arm as the cameras turn away, nails digging in. What do you think you're doing? Playing the game, I say quietly. Isn't that what you taught me? To always be camera ready? She releases me like I've burned her. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Actually, I do. I pull out my phone and show her the screenshot Ivy gave me, Jenny kissing the stranger at the bar. And I have more. For a moment, real fear flashes across her face. Then her mask slides back into place. Check your phone, she says, turning away. I do. There's a new Instagram notification. Jenny's tagged me in a post from 3 years ago. It's a photo of me at her birthday party, clearly drunk, mascara smeared, making an absolute fool of myself. The caption reads, "Throwing it back to simpler times with my bestie. Some people really show their true colors when they drink. For you're so concerned, want friendship goals." The post already has hundreds of comments, cruel ones. Delete it, I say, hands shaking. Make me. Her smile is vicious. I have 3 years of similar photos, Paisley. How many should I post? Is everything okay here? Derek approaches, looking concerned. Perfect, Jenny chirps. Just reminiscing with my bestie. Right, Paisley? I meet her eyes. Right, just like old times. The rest of filming passes in a blur. Back in my hotel room, I sink onto the bed, exhausted. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Saw what happened. Meet me at the hotel bar. D. My heart jumps. Derek. But when I reach the bar, it's not him waiting. Sorry for the fake out, Ivy says, sliding me a glass of wine. Needed to talk privately. Jenny's making moves against you. I noticed. I show her the Instagram post. That's just the beginning. She's telling production you're unstable, obsessed with her life. She's trying to get you painted as the villain. Great. I drain half the wine. So what do? We have something she doesn't. Ivy pulls out her phone. Remember that video from the copper room? There's more to it. Watch. The footage continues past what she showed me yesterday. Jenny's still there, but now I can hear what she's saying to the mystery man. Just stick to the plan. Once Derek catches us, the sympathy followers will roll in. I'll be at 1 million subscribers by Christmas. Holy shit, I whisper. Yeah. Ivy's smile is grim. But here's the thing. If we release this now, you'll just look like a bitter friend trying to cause drama. We need to play this smart. How? The producers love conflict, right? So let's give them what they want. Let Jenny think she's winning. Let her get cocky. And then? Ivy's eyes gleam. And then we burn it all down. I think about Jenny's threats, about the humiliating photo, about years of subtle manipulation masked as friendship. I'm in, I say, whatever it takes. As if on cue, my phone buzzes with another Instagram notification. Jenny's posted another old photo. This time I smile. Post all you want, Jenny. Your time is coming. The producers love their metaphors. Today's challenge has us all rock climbing. Something about reaching new heights for love. I'm harnessed up, trying not to look down, when Derek appears beside me. Need a hand? He reaches out to steady me as I wobble on the wall. I'm good. I'm not good. My palms are sweating and my arms shake with each move. But Jenny's watching from below, and I refuse to look weak. You know, Derek says casually, matching my pace, it's funny how Jenny never mentioned you during our engagement, considering you were supposedly best friends. My foot slips. He catches my elbow, keeping me stable. Careful, he murmurs, then lower. Meet me in the hotel garden after filming. We need to talk. Before I can respond, Jenny's voice rings out. Derek, the cameras want a shot of us climbing together. For old time's sake? I watch him descend, something heavy settling in my chest. The cameras swivel to capture their playful banter as they climb together. The former couple reunited. Jenny's laugh echoes off the walls. Don't let her get to you. Ivy appears on my other side. That's exactly what she wants. I know. But knowing doesn't make it hurt less. Hours later, I pace the hotel garden, debating whether meeting Derek alone is wise. The fountain bubbles quietly, and fairy lights twinkle in the trees. It's romantic as hell, which makes everything worse. Hey, Derek emerges from the shadows, hands in his pockets. Thanks for coming. What's this about? He sits on the fountain's edge, patting the space beside him. I've been thinking about what you said, about the copper room. My heart pounds. Oh? I never told anyone this, but he runs a hand through his hair. The night before I ended things, I got an anonymous text. Just an address and a time. The copper room. You went? Yeah, but by the time I got there, Jenny was gone. Just missed her, apparently. His laugh is bitter. Convenient, right? I think about Ivy's video, about Jenny's calculated plan. Derek, the thing is, he continues, I knew something was wrong long before that. Jenny was different when cameras weren't around. Colder. But I ignored it because... He breaks off, looking away. Because what? Because sometimes when we were all hanging out together, I'd catch myself watching you instead of her. The way you'd light up talking about your students. How you always noticed when someone needed help. Little things. Oh, and then you disappeared, he says quietly. Right after the engagement. Jenny said you were just busy, but she told me to give you space, I whisper. Said I was making things weird by hanging around so much. His head snaps up. She what? There's something you need to see. I pull out my phone, hands trembling, pull up Ivy's video, but before I can press play, a twig snaps behind us. We both turn. Jenny stands there, phone raised, already recording. Well, isn't this cozy? The obsessed best friend sneaking around with my ex? Wait until everyone sees this. Jenny, stop, Derek starts. No, you stop. Her voice shakes with real emotion for the first time. You think I don't see what's happening? Poor, sweet Paisley, finally getting her chance, the backup choice. That's not... Show him the video, she challenges me. Show him how you've been plotting against me with Ivy. Show him what a loyal friend you really are. Derek looks between us, confused. What video? My finger hovers over the play button. One press and Jenny's whole scheme unravels. Her carefully crafted image, destroyed. But go ahead, Jenny pushes. Show everyone who you really are. The jealous friend who couldn't stand seeing someone else happy. Who'd rather destroy everything than admit she's alone. The worst part is, maybe she's right. What am I doing here? Playing her game, becoming everything I used to hate about her. I lock my phone. Jenny's smile is triumphant. That's what I thought. She stops recording and turns to leave, then pauses. Oh, and Paisley, check your social media. I just went live with some interesting stories about you. Hope you're ready for tomorrow's filming. She disappears into the darkness, leaving me alone with Derek and the weight of everything unsaid. Paisley, he says softly, what's really going on? I look at my phone as notifications start flooding in. Jenny's live video is already viral. Tomorrow, everyone will see her version of events. The desperate friend, the secret meetings, the attempted sabotage. I have to go, I manage, standing up. Wait. But I'm already running, leaving him by the fountain, leaving the fairy lights and the almost moment and any chance of explaining. Sometimes winning means losing everything. I spend the night reading comments on Jenny's live video. Each one feels like a paper cut to my soul. Unstable, desperate, pathetic. The story she's woven is masterful. The concerned friend trying to help, the disturbing obsession, the sad attempt to steal her ex. By morning, my social media is a war zone. A knock at my door makes me jump. Paisley, it's Logan, we need to talk. The show's host looks exhausted as he enters, like he's been up all night too. The producers are loving this drama, he says without preamble, but we need to know if you're stable enough to continue. I'm fine, my voice cracks. Are you? He sits in the armchair by the window. Because Jenny's making some serious allegations. Claims you've been stalking her, that you're dangerous. That's ridiculous. Is it? He pulls out his phone. These photos she posted of you outside her apartment building last month? My stomach drops. That's. I was dropping off her mail. She never changed her address after moving. And the dozens of calls? She blocked me. I was trying to understand why she ghosted me after being my best friend for years. Logan's expression softened slightly. Look, I've been doing this long enough to know there's always more to the story. If you want to tell your side, a commotion in the hallway interrupts us. The door bursts open and Ivy rushes in, face flushed. You need to see this, she says, thrusting her phone at me. It's a new post from Jenny, a video compilation of our friendship set to sad music. Photos of us through the years, carefully selected to make me look unhinged, always staring at her too intensely, standing too close. The caption reads, "Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones we should fear most. Time to tell my truth." There's more, Ivy says quietly. She's doing a tell-all interview this afternoon. Says she has proof you've been harassing her for years. Logan stands. Paisley, if there's something you want to say, now's the time. I think about Ivy's video evidence, about Jenny's calculated betrayals, about Derek by the fountain last night, about how easy it would be to destroy her right now. But then my phone buzzes. A text from Derek. Are you okay? Can we talk? Before I can respond, another message appears. From Jenny this time. It's a photo I've never seen before, of Derek and me at some party last year. We're just talking, but the angle makes it look intimate. The message below it reads, "Shame if Derek saw proof your obsession started during our engagement. Wonder what the producers would think." Paisley? Logan prompts. I look up at him, then at Ivy. I need a minute. Once they're gone, I sink to the floor, back against the bed. My phone keeps buzzing with notifications. Friends from home asking if I'm okay. Students' parents expressing concern. My sister begging me to withdraw from the show. Another knock. Go away. It's me. Derek's voice. Please. I drag myself up and open the door. He looks like he hasn't slept either. I saw Jenny's posts, he says. That's not the you I know. Maybe you don't know me at all. Or maybe I do and that's what scares her. He steps closer. What was on that video you almost showed me last night? I shake my head. It doesn't matter anymore. It matters to me. Why? So you can what? Save me? Be the hero who exposes Jenny's lies? My laugh sounds hysterical even to me. She'll just twist that too. Poor Derek, manipulated by the crazy friend. Paisley, you should go. I step back. Jenny's doing her interview soon. Wouldn't want to miss her big reveal. He reaches for my hand, but I pull away. After he leaves, I text Ivy. I'm done playing nice. Get everyone together. It's time. Her response is immediate. Room 512, 1 hour. I look in the mirror, barely recognizing myself. The woman staring back has shadows under her eyes and steel in her spine. Jenny wanted to make me the villain? Fine. Let's see how she handles the real thing. My phone buzzes one last time. Jenny again. Last chance to back down. Otherwise, everything burns. I think about the girl I used to be. The one who apologized to furniture. The one who let Jenny dim her light for years. The one who ran away from the fountain last night. That girl is gone. I type back 2 words. Bring it. Then I head to room 512, where Ivy and the others are waiting. It's time to show Jenny what happens when you push someone too far. Sometimes the only way forward is through the fire. The studio lights feel different today. Harsher, more exposing. I sit in the makeup chair, watching the artist cover the dark circles under my eyes while Jenny's voice drifts from the set. And that's when I started fearing for my safety, she's saying to Logan. The constant calls, the showing up uninvited. Ivy appears beside me. Ready? I nod. My hands should be shaking, but they're steady as I check my phone one last time. Everything's queued up. Every screenshot, every video, every receipt. Places everyone, a producer calls. Group confrontation in 5. The set has been arranged like a courtroom, with Jenny in the spotlight and the rest of us facing her. Derek sits off to the side, his expression unreadable. Cameras track our every move. Paisley, Logan turns to me once we're rolling. How do you respond to Jenny's allegations? I meet Jenny's eyes. She's wearing white again, playing the victim perfectly. Actually, I have some questions for Jenny first. Of course you do. Jenny sighs dramatically. More accusations? More attempts to paint me as the bad guy? Just one question. I pull out my phone. Why did you tell Derek to meet you at the copper room the night before your engagement ended? Her smile falters slightly. I never, because I have a video from that night. I nod to the production team who've been prepped by Ivy. The footage plays on the giant screen behind us. Jenny's voice fills the studio. Just stick to the plan. Once Derek catches us, the sympathy followers will roll in. The color drains from her face. Or we could talk about the other engagements, I continue. Mark from Seattle, Tom from Chicago, all ending just as your follower count needed a boost. You're twisting things. No more twisting. I stand up. No more manipulation. No more making others feel small so you can feel big. That's rich coming from you. She rises too, mask cracking. The sad little teacher who's been copying my life since college, my clothes, my interests, even my man. I never wanted your life, Jenny. I wanted my friend back. The real one, from before you turned everything into content. Real? She laughs sharply. You want real? Let's talk about how you've been in love with Derek for years. How you... Stop. Derek's voice cuts through the tension. Just stop, Jenny. Baby, don't let her manipulate you. The only manipulation was you. He stands. I found the burner phone, the one you used to text me about the copper room. Your fingerprints were all over that night. Jenny's composure cracks completely. Everything I did for us, for our brand. Do you know how many followers our engagement got me? How many sponsorship deals? The studio falls silent. Our relationship was a sponsorship deal? Derek asks quietly. Everyone's relationship is content now. She's almost screaming. Wake up. Why do you think any of us are here? Little Miss Perfect Teacher over there isn't here for love. She's here for revenge. You're right. My voice is calm. I came here for revenge. But then I realized something. The best revenge isn't exposing you. It's not letting you control the narrative anymore. I turned to the cameras. Jenny didn't bring me here to help me find love. She brought me here to humiliate me, like she's been doing for years. But here's the truth. I'm not desperate or obsessed or dangerous. I'm just someone who finally learned to stop apologizing for taking up space. Cut, Jenny shouts. You can't air this. Actually, Logan interjects. We can and we will. The producers have seen all the evidence. The other engagements, the planned breakups, everything. You're done controlling the story, Ivy adds, standing beside me. Jenny looks around wildly, finding no allies. Derek, please. But Derek is walking toward me. He stops just short, close enough that I can see the flecks of gold in his eyes. I should have seen it sooner, he says softly. The real story was right in front of me. Jenny makes a strangled sound and storms off set. The cameras follow her exit, capturing every second of her meltdown. Paisley, Logan says, what happens now? I look at Derek, then back at the cameras. Now, I think I'm ready to write my own story. The studio lights don't feel harsh anymore. They feel like sunshine after a storm, illuminating everything that was hidden in shadow. Behind me, I hear Jenny's voice one last time. You'll regret this. But for the first time since this all began, I know I won't. Because the girl who apologized for existing, she's gone. And the woman who replaced her isn't afraid of the spotlight anymore. The hotel garden feels different in the morning light. The fairy lights are off, the fountain quiet. I sit on its edge, running my fingers through the cool water, waiting. Thought I'd find you here. Derek's voice is soft behind me. Couldn't sleep either? Too much adrenaline. I scoot over to make room. Have you seen the headlines? Reality star's empire crumbles live on air. He sits beside me. Jenny's trending for all the wrong reasons. I should feel better about that than I do. But you don't? I pull my hand from the water, watching drops fall back into the fountain. I keep thinking about who we were before all this. Before Jenny turned our friendship into content. Before she turned you into a plot point. Before you turned yourself into a revenge story. That too. I meet his eyes. I'm not staying for the rest of filming. He stills. What? I told Logan this morning. The show got their dramatic confrontation. They don't need me anymore. And what if someone else needs you? My heart stutters, but I force myself to stay steady. Derek, you don't owe me anything. What Jenny did to you isn't why I'm here. He turns to face me fully. You want to know why I really ended things with Jenny? Before I even got that text about the copper room? I wait. Because every time something real happened, good or bad, she'd reach for her phone first. But you always reached for the person. He smiles slightly. Like that time I got food poisoning at that awful sushi place. Jenny's first instinct was to film my dramatic hospital journey. But you just showed up with ginger ale and terrible jokes. Those jokes were gold and you know it. They really weren't. His laugh fades into something more serious. The point is, I saw you. The real you. Not Jenny's version, not the show's version. Just you. And now? Now I'd like to see more. But not here. Not with cameras and producers trying to turn every moment into content. A movement catches my eye. Through the garden archway, I spot Ivy watching us. She holds up her phone, then deliberately puts it away. A small gesture that means everything. I have a confession, I say, turning back to Derek. That night at the copper room, I was there too. His eyebrows rise. Jenny told me to come, said she needed moral support for something important. I saw her with that guy, saw her staging the whole thing. But I left before you arrived because... I swallow hard. Because I couldn't watch her hurt you. Even then, I couldn't be part of her story. And now? Now I think I'm ready to tell my own story. One that doesn't need likes or followers or carefully filtered moments. He stands, offering his hand. Want some company for that story? Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. A notification from Jenny, her first post since the meltdown. My thumb hovers over it. Then I do something that would have been impossible a week ago. I delete the app entirely. You know what? I take his hand, letting him pull me up. I think this story works better without an audience. We walk toward the hotel entrance where real life waits beyond the artificial world of reality TV. At the door, Derek pauses. Just one thing, he says. Those jokes you told me in the hospital, what do you call a fake noodle? An impasta, I reply automatically, then groan. Oh God, they really were terrible. His laughter echoes through the garden, real and unfiltered. No cameras capture it. No one stages or scripts it. It's just a moment, genuine and ours. As we step into the morning sun, I spot a small group of paparazzi waiting. They raise their cameras, hungry for the next dramatic scene. But this isn't their story anymore. It's not Jenny's story or the show's story or even a revenge story. It's just my story. Unfiltered, unedited, and finally, unapologetically real. I reach for Derek's hand instead of my phone, and together we walk past the cameras, letting them capture nothing but our backs as we leave the spotlight behind. Some moments don't need to be shared to be real. Some stories are better lived than told. And some girls who apologize to furniture grow up to become women who don't apologize at all.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna, a 33-year-old software developer who thought I'd marry into the perfect family. Spoiler alert, I couldn't have been more wrong. My mom, Janet, is my rock. She's the strongest person I know. She beat cancer while juggling 3 jobs just to put me through college. One of those jobs was cleaning houses, and I couldn't be prouder of her. Now, she runs her own small cleaning business, offering flexible jobs to women who need them. That's my mom, always turning her struggles into ways to help others. When I first met my mother-in-law, Victoria, at their sprawling mansion in Greenwich, I thought she was just a little particular. Your mom must be so proud you've moved up in the world, Victoria said, flashing a polished smile. Actually, she's my inspiration. She built her business from the ground up, I replied. How quaint. Everyone has to start somewhere, I suppose, she said, her tone dripping with condescension. Though some of us were fortunate enough to start at the top, I should have recognized the red flags then. My husband, James, isn't like his mother. Babe, don't let her get to you, he'd say after one of her cutting remarks. Mom can be particular. She did the same thing to my college girlfriend because her dad was just a dentist. James' sister, Emma, was more direct. Oh, that's just how she is about status, Emma told me over lunch. Nothing's ever good enough. She made my best friend cry at my sweet 16 because her dress was off the rack. Does she treat everyone like they're beneath her? I asked. Just wait for the family gatherings, Emma replied with a sigh. That's when she really shines. Last Christmas, she made our cousin's wife serve drinks because she used to bartend in college. I vented to my mom about it over Sunday brunch. Honey, some people are so empty inside, they need to make others feel small just to feel big, she said, her voice steady as ever. I just want things to work out. James is great, and his dad, Robert, seems nice enough. Robert's nice, but spineless, Emma said when I mentioned it the next day. Mom controls everything. Parties, charities, their entire social circle. She even picks out his clothes and tells him who he can golf with. How do you handle it? I asked. I moved 3 states away, Emma said, stirring her coffee nervously. But now that you're here, she hesitated. Just watch your back. Victoria has a way of making problems disappear. My last serious boyfriend, he got a dream job offer in Singapore after Mom decided he wasn't Miller material. I brushed it off, determined to focus on my new life with James. We were happy in our little bubble, but Victoria's perfect family parties were impossible to avoid. James, sweetheart, the Memorial Day gathering is coming up, Victoria announced over dinner one evening. Anna, dear, do try to dress appropriately this time. Those Target dresses you favor are better suited to casual outings. My clothes are fine, Victoria, I replied firmly. I dress professionally for my job at a major tech company. Of course they're fine for your usual circles. But we have standards to maintain. The Vanderbilts will be there, and you know how they talk. James squeezed my hand under the table, and I squeezed back, neither of us realizing how that gathering would change everything. Just be yourself, my mom told me when I called her that night, tears in my eyes. If she can't appreciate you, that's her loss. You're a successful woman with a good heart. If only I'd known then what Victoria had planned for that party. I was still trying to play nice, still hoping to be accepted into a family that looked so perfect on the outside. But sometimes the prettiest facades hide the ugliest truths. The Miller family's facade was about to crack wide open. The Memorial Day party was in full swing at their estate, with champagne flowing and guests mingling around the garden fountain. When Victoria approached me at the Memorial Day party, she carried something behind her back. Her smile was as polished as ever, but there was a glint of malice in her eyes. "Oh, Anna dear, I have just the thing for you," she said sweetly, drawing the attention of the nearby guests. Slowly, she revealed what she was holding. A stack of cleaning rags, neatly folded and tied with a ribbon, as if they were some sort of prize. The chatter around us died instantly. "Since your mother was so experienced in this area," she began, her voice dripping with mock sincerity, "I thought you might help ensure everything stays spotless during the party. It's in your blood after all." My hands trembled as I stared at her, barely able to process what I was hearing. "Excuse me?" "Well," she continued, unbothered by the growing tension, "your mother did spend years scrubbing toilets, didn't she? Even during her unfortunate medical situation. Such dedication to menial work is admirable." Before I could find my voice, James rushed over. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Just trying to make Anna feel useful, darling," she said, her tone so saccharine it made my stomach churn. "We all know she's more comfortable with domestic tasks." Emma appeared at my side, her face a mask of anger. "You've gone too far, Mother." "I'm simply acknowledging her heritage," Victoria replied with feigned innocence. "Not everyone can be born into proper society." The words pierced through me like daggers, but I stood tall, my voice rising to match the fury in my chest. "My mother beat cancer while keeping me in school," I said firmly. "She built a successful business from nothing. What exactly have you built, Victoria?" Victoria's smile faltered, replaced by a flash of fury. "How dare you speak to me that way in my own home?" She turned to James. "Are you just going to stand there and let her insult me?" "Stop it, Mom. You're embarrassing yourself," James snapped. "Robert," Victoria shrieked, turning to her husband, who was loitering nearby with a drink in hand. "Come control your son." Robert wandered over, looking more annoyed than concerned. Now, everyone calm down," he said, waving his free hand lazily. "I'm sure Victoria meant no harm." "No harm?" James said, his voice sharp. "She just insulted my wife and her mother in front of everyone." "She's simply concerned about appearances," Robert mumbled, avoiding his wife's glare. "Like she was concerned when she sabotaged Emma's engagement," I shot back. The crowd gasped audibly, and all eyes turned to Victoria. Her face turned ashen, her poise cracking. "Who told you about that?" she hissed. "I did," Emma said, stepping forward. Her voice was calm, but her hands were clenched into fists. "I told her everything about Thomas's mysterious job offer, about all your so-called interventions over the years." Victoria's composure shattered. "Those decisions were for the good of this family." "No, Mother," Emma retorted, her voice cold. "They were for your ego." Victoria turned to the gathered crowd, her desperation showing. "Everyone, please excuse this unfortunate display. Some people simply don't understand our ways." "Your ways?" I laughed, unable to hold back anymore. "You mean manipulation and cruelty." Victoria's face hardened, and she turned to a nearby staff member. "Security," she barked, her voice sharp. "Please escort my daughter-in-law out. She's clearly had too much champagne." I met her glare head-on. "I haven't had a single drink, Victoria, but keep trying to spin this. You've just shown everyone exactly who you are." James took my hand, his jaw tight with anger. "We're leaving," he said, "but this isn't over." Victoria's voice rose in panic. "If you leave with her, don't bother coming back." "Gladly," James replied, his voice steady. "I choose my wife." As we turned to leave, Emma stepped forward. "I'm done too, Mother. Enjoy your perfect little world, alone." We walked out together, leaving Victoria standing frozen, still clutching those ridiculous cleaning rags. Around her, the guests whispered, her carefully crafted image crumbling in front of the very people she had worked so hard to impress. But this was just the beginning. I didn't know it at the time, but Emma was sitting on information that would bring Victoria's entire empire crashing down. After the disastrous Memorial Day party, Emma invited us to her apartment. As soon as we sat down, she opened her laptop, her face a mix of determination and anger. "Remember when I worked at Dad's company last summer?" she said, clicking through folders. "I found something interesting in the accounting records." "What kind of records?" I leaned in, my heart racing. Emma turned the screen toward us. "Look at these transfers. Mom's been siphoning money from Dad's company through fake charity organizations she created." James's eyes widened as he stared at the numbers. $500,000. Where's it all going?" Emma snorted. "Designer clothes, secret spa trips, and get this, paying private investigators to dig up dirt on anyone who marries into the family." "She hired private investigators?" I asked, stunned. "Oh, it gets worse. Remember my ex, Thomas? She paid his boss to offer him that job in Singapore. She wanted him gone because he wasn't Miller material." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from my boss popped up. "We received an anonymous email claiming you stole proprietary code." My stomach dropped. "You've got to be kidding me. She's trying to ruin my career now." "Classic move," Emma said, pulling up more documents. "She did the same thing to Dad's secretary last year when she thought the woman was getting too friendly with him." James was pacing the room, running his hands through his hair. "We need to take this to Dad." "Wait," I said, checking my phone again. A text from my mom appeared. "Victoria's been posting horrible things about me online. Fake accounts calling me a gold digger who faked cancer for money." Emma's jaw tightened. "She's been doing that for years. Look at this." She opened another folder filled with screenshots. Fake reviews tanking businesses, burner phones she uses to harass people, even anonymous complaints filed against family members. James pointed at a bank statement on the screen. "She's draining Dad's retirement accounts for all of this." Before we could process the full scope of it, my mom called. "Someone just contacted all my cleaning clients, telling them I'm under investigation for theft," she said, her voice trembling. "That's it," Emma snapped, grabbing her keys. "We're taking this to Michael." Michael was Dad's business partner, and he'd already been suspicious of Victoria's spending for months. "He'll help us," Emma said confidently. "These fake charities are using the company's tax ID numbers. It's all fraud." Just then, James's phone buzzed. "Mom's trying to get Dad to make me sign a postnup," he said, reading the text aloud. "Says she doesn't trust me with the family money." "More like she doesn't want anyone digging into where the money's going," Emma said bitterly, closing her laptop. "She's getting sloppy, but we need to be careful." Too late for careful, I set my voice steady. "She's been destroying lives for years. It's time to end it." At Victoria's annual charity gala, Our carefully constructed world began to crumble. The night started as usual, lavish decorations, expensive wine, and a crowd of socialites hanging on her every word. Victoria stood at the podium, accepting yet another award for her so-called philanthropic work, when Michael interrupted. I have some questions about the Miller Family Foundation's finances, he said, standing in the middle of the crowd. Victoria froze, her smile faltering. This isn't the time or place, Michael, she said sharply. Actually, it's the perfect place, he countered. Would you like to explain where the $500,000 went? The room went silent as Robert stepped forward, confusion etched across his face. What's he talking about, Victoria? Nothing, dear, she said quickly, her voice trembling. Just a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Emma said, stepping into the room with a stack of papers, is that we trusted you all these years. Victoria's composure cracked as she looked around for support. Security, she barked. Remove them. They won't help you, Michael said, holding up his phone. The FBI is already reviewing the evidence of your embezzlement. Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Victoria gripped the podium, her knuckles white. Robert, darling, don't listen to them. Like you didn't want me to listen when the secretary tried to warn me about missing funds. Robert's voice was cold. Or when our accountant quit suddenly last year. I did everything for this family, Victoria cried. You mean like hiring people to destroy my mom's business? I stepped forward, my voice steady. Or creating fake social media accounts to harass people? Victoria's mask shattered completely. You gold-digging little. Careful, mother, James said, cutting her off. The reporters you invited are still here, and they're still recording. The whispers around us grew louder as her precious social circle began backing away. You can't prove anything, Victoria spat, desperation in her eyes. Actually, Michael said, projecting documents onto the screen behind her, we can prove everything. Robert stared at the evidence, his face pale. Our retirement accounts, empty? I needed that money. Victoria pleaded. For what? Emma demanded. To ruin lives, to buy silence, to destroy anyone who threatened your perfect image. The murmurs turned to open disdain as guests started heading for the exits. Robert, please, Victoria begged, reaching for him. Save it for your lawyer, he said coldly, stepping away. I want a divorce. And the board wants your resignation, Michael added. Effective immediately. Victoria tried one last time. I can explain everything. Like you explained away Thomas, Emma said, her voice breaking. Or Olivia's restaurant, or every other life you've ruined? Comments for part 2. I did it because I love you, Victoria cried. No, James said, wrapping his arm around me. You did it because you're toxic, and we're done. As the police arrived, Victoria's carefully constructed facade crumbled. Her social circle abandoned her reputation shattered, and her empire of lies exposed. Hi everyone, I'm Natalie Wan, a 28-year-old marketing executive at Thompson & Partners. Today, I want to share how my brother's wedding turned into a nightmare and uncovered years of toxic behavior within our family. Life hasn't been easy for us. When our mom passed away from cancer, I was 16 and my brother Lucas was 20. Dad worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat, so I stepped up to help raise Lucas. We became incredibly close during those years. Natally, I got accepted to Stanford. I still remember the excitement in Lucas's voice that day. Even now, I can feel the pride and determination I felt as I made the decision to use my college fund to pay for his education. No regrets. It was worth every penny to see him graduate. For a while, everything seemed perfect. Then Caroline Brooks walked into our lives. Lucas met her at a charity event, and I still remember our first dinner together at LeBlanc. So Natalie, Lucas tells me you're in marketing. How quaint, Caroline had said with a condescending smile. I suppose not everyone is cut out for the pressures of real estate. It was the first red flag, but I ignored it for Lucas's sake. Soon the subtle digs became constant. Darling, you simply must update your wardrobe. Those outlet store pieces aren't doing you any favors. Even my best friend Rachel noticed. Girl, did you hear the way she talked to you at the engagement party? Like being single is some kind of disease. And David, my colleague, raised an eyebrow after meeting Caroline at the office holiday party. Your future sister-in-law asked if I was your supervisor. When I said no, she literally rolled her eyes and said, "Figures." But none of that compared to meeting her mother, Martha Brooks. Picture the stereotype of a wealthy snob, then multiply it by 10. "Lucas, dear," Martha cooed at a family dinner, "are you sure you want to live so close to that neighborhood? We could help you find something more suitable in our area." Wedding planning was an absolute nightmare. Whenever I tried to help, Caroline brushed me off. "Oh, don't worry your pretty little head, Natalie. Events like this require a certain expertise." Then, at the engagement party, her brother James pulled me aside while the guests cheered a champagne toast. "I'm sorry about how they're treating you," he said, his voice low and apologetic. "They do this to everyone they think is beneath them." "Thanks, but I can handle it," I replied, though my confidence was starting to crack. "You should know what you're dealing with," he insisted. "They ruined my best friend's career just because he dated my cousin and wasn't our kind. The worst part, Lucas didn't or wouldn't see it. 'Natalie, you're just not used to their way of doing things,' he'd say. Caroline comes from a different world. Give her time. If only I'd known what was coming." The week before the wedding was brutal. Caroline found excuses to exclude me from every bridesmaid meeting, rescheduling without notice. Finally, during the rehearsal dinner, she delivered the ultimate blow. "Oh, Natalie, didn't Lucas tell you? We had to make some last-minute changes to the wedding party. Too many bridesmaids would look cluttered in the photos." I turned to Lucas, hoping he'd defend me, but he looked away. "Caroline," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I'm his only sister." "Darling, we've discussed this. My sorority sisters already coordinated their schedules. It's simply too late to change anything now." The wedding day came, and I plastered on my best fake smile. I helped Lucas with his tie, just like I had for his graduation. "You look beautiful, Natalie," he said quietly. "I'm sorry about the bridesmaid thing." "Hey," I replied, forcing a smile, "it's your day. Let's make it special." The ceremony went off without a hitch, but the reception brought the final blow. During the toasts, Caroline stood up, champagne glass in hand, her designer dress probably worth more than my rent. "I want to thank everyone for coming today," she began, her voice dripping with sweetness. "And a special thanks to Lucas's sister, Natalie, who's basically been the family servant all these years." Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. My stomach tightened as she continued. "I mean, who gives up their own future to serve others? No wonder she's still single, too busy playing mommy to actually build a life." The room fell silent. Hundreds of eyes turned to me. My cheeks burned as I sat frozen, humiliated, and furious. Before I could process the humiliation, Lucas grabbed the microphone, his voice steady but seething. "Actually, Caroline, let me tell everyone exactly what my sister did when our mom died." The room fell silent. "Natalie gave up her college fund, every penny she'd saved since she was 12, so I could go to Stanford. She worked 3 jobs while finishing high school to help Dad keep our house. She's not a servant. She's the reason I'm standing here today." Caroline's face turned white. "Lucas, darling, I was just joking." Lucas didn't let her finish. "While you were spending Daddy's money at prep school, my sister was helping me with calculus homework at midnight after her shift at the diner. She's not single because she was playing mommy. She's single because she puts others before herself. Something you clearly know nothing about." Caroline stormed out of the room, her white dress trailing behind her, while gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Martha shot up, waving her hands frantically. "Everyone please, my daughter is simply overwhelmed. Natalie, dear, you know how emotional brides can get. Though really, airing family finances at a wedding is rather uncouth." Her attempt to spin the situation fell flat. Guests began shaking their heads, whispering about the scene they just witnessed. Later, as the reception wound down, James approached me in a quiet corner. He pulled out his phone, his expression grim. "Listen to this," he said, pressing play. Caroline's voice filled the air, venomous and smug. "Once we're married, we'll gradually phase her out. She's so clingy with Lucas, it's pathetic. Mom's already found us a house in California." Martha's voice followed. "Perfect, darling. We'll make sure Lucas sees how his sister is holding him back. A few well-placed comments about her dependency issues should do it." I felt sick to my stomach, but oddly relieved. Finally, their true colors were on full display. "There's more," James said, his tone somber. "A lot more. And I think it's time everyone knew the truth about my sister and mother." 2 days later, Lucas called me, his voice breaking. Caroline's giving me an ultimatum, he said. She wants me to cut you out of my life, or she's leaving. She claims you've always been jealous of her. I stayed calm, the recordings echoing in my mind. What do you want to do, Lucas? I don't know anymore. Everything's falling apart. She maxed out our joint credit card on a shopping spree after the reception. That's when James dropped the first bomb. He emailed me court documents. Caroline had been married before, to a wealthy man in Boston, and she never divorced him. Natalie, you won't believe what I found. My best friend Rachel burst into my office, waving a stack of printouts. Caroline pulled this exact same stunt with 3 other families. She finds successful men with close family ties, drives wedges between them, and bleeds them dry. Even David, my colleague, had been dating through social media. Look at this, he said, holding up his phone. These posts from 2019, she's wearing an engagement ring in Miami. But it's not from your brother or her first husband. There's a whole trail of destroyed relationships. As Caroline unraveled, she weaponized Instagram, posting cryptic captions like, "Some people pretend to be loving sisters while secretly sabotaging your marriage." Then came the ultimate downfall. Martha's carefully constructed empire began to crumble. The SEC launched an investigation into Brooks Realty for major fraud. James discovered they'd been running a Ponzi scheme through their luxury real estate developments. The feds are looking at everything, James told me over coffee. Mom's been cooking the books for years. Caroline knew, and she was using company money to fund her shopping addiction. Caroline's desperation peaked when she tried to gaslight Lucas about his own memories. "Baby, remember how Natalie tried to talk you out of college? She wanted to keep you dependent on her. But her lies couldn't save her when her past caught up with her." Lucas received a LinkedIn message from Thomas Bennett, Caroline's ex-husband. "Your sister called me. I should have warned you sooner," the message read. Caroline did the same thing to my family. First, she isolated me from my sister, claiming she was trying to control my life. Then she drained my accounts. She told everyone my sister was spreading lies about her. By the time Lucas realized everything Kate had said was true, it was too late. Caroline had already moved on to her next target. She hadn't even bothered to file their divorce papers. Lucas forwarded me the message from Thomas Bennett with a single line. "I'm so sorry I didn't listen." I watched silently as Caroline's world crumbled around her. Her real estate license fell under review amidst the fraud investigation. Her once loyal social media followers turned against her as more victims stepped forward. But I didn't have to lift a finger. Karma was doing all the work. That night, Rachel came over with a bottle of wine. "Girl, are you okay?" "Actually, yeah. For the first time in months, I feel like I can breathe." Sometimes the best revenge is letting toxic people destroy themselves. But the real satisfaction came later. The headline flashed across my phone. Brooks Realty CEO arrested in multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. Martha's mugshot was everywhere. Gone were the designer suits and her trademark superior smirk, replaced by an orange jumpsuit and smeared mascara. The fallout was swift and merciless. Thomas Bennett went public with his story. She was already married when she married Lucas, he revealed. Can you believe it? Whispers in exclusive country clubs turned into roars. Caroline's carefully curated image shattered like cheap glass. Then Lucas called me, his voice trembling. "Natalie, she took out loans in my name. Credit cards, personal loans, everything. She forged my signature. I'm looking at almost $300,000 in debt." Caroline's final desperate move was as predictable as it was pathetic. Natalie orchestrated this whole thing. She ranted to anyone who would listen. She planted evidence, manipulated James, turned my own brother against me. Lucas's lawyer called it a slam dunk annulment case. She was legally married to someone else, the judge ruled. This marriage was never valid. And just like that, it was over. Caroline's social media meltdown was legendary. A 30-minute, unhinged rant accusing me of everything from theft to corporate espionage. The real estate board wasn't amused. Her license was revoked. 5 years flew by. Life moved on. I'm now the marketing director at a Fortune 500 company. My team's latest campaign just won an industry award. Dating? Sure, when I want to. But I'm not chasing it. My life is already full. As for Lucas, he found himself again. He met Sarah, a kind, grounded kindergarten teacher at a volunteer event. No drama, no designer labels. Just real love. Their backyard wedding last summer was everything a wedding should be: simple, joyful, and heartfelt. Looking back, I sometimes wonder, what would you have done in my position? When Caroline hit rock bottom and sent that desperate message asking for help, would you have given her a second chance? Would you have believed she changed? Or would you have stood firm like I did, knowing that some bridges are better left burned? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had toxic people come back into your life after karma finally caught up to them? Did you forgive them or stand your ground? Hi everyone, I'm Olivia Jackson, a second grade teacher at Riverside Elementary. 5 years ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I married George Martinez, a corporate lawyer who seemed like the ideal partner. Together, we were blessed with beautiful twin daughters, Yasmin and Crystal, now 4 years old. They're my whole world, filling our home with laughter and creativity. But my perfect life slowly unraveled, thanks to my monster-in-law. It started with little jabs, like during one of Charlotte's infamous surprise visits last month. "Your girls are getting so big, Olivia," she began sweetly. Then her tone shifted. "But I couldn't help noticing Yasmin is wearing the same dress as last week. Don't tell me George isn't providing enough for proper clothes." The implication stung, but I kept my composure. "The girls pick their own outfits, Charlotte. It's important for their independence." "Independence? They're 4," she scoffed. "This is exactly what I was telling George about your unusual parenting methods." At lunch the next day, my best friend Noah, a 5th grade teacher at my school, noticed my stress. "Charlotte again," he guessed. I sighed. "She's everywhere, no." Yesterday, she reorganized my entire kitchen while I was at work. Apparently, I'm not efficient enough. "That's not normal," Noah said firmly. "My sister went through something similar. It didn't end well." When I brought it up with George, his response was dismissive. "She's just being helpful. Mom knows best," he said with a shrug. But Charlotte's meddling wasn't just limited to my parenting. Rumors started circulating around town. "Did you hear what she told Barbara at the grocery store?" Noel asked me one day. "That you're working too much and neglecting your family." I froze. She said what? As if that wasn't bad enough, a week later, I caught her in my bedroom, rummaging through my closet. "These clothes aren't appropriate for a mother," she declared, holding up my favorite dress. "George agrees. You should dress more conservatively." "George doesn't get to decide what I wear, and neither do you," I snapped. "Oh, sweetie," she said with mock sympathy. "A wife should always consider her husband's preferences." I raised him to expect certain standards. That night, George came home late, as usual. When I confronted him, he was defensive. "Mom's just trying to help, Olivia." "Why can't you appreciate that?" "She raised me alone, you know." "I'm not asking for her help, George," I said, barely keeping my frustration in check. "I'm asking for respect in my own home." "Maybe if you did things more her way," he started. But I cut him off when I noticed a new house key on his keychain. "Did you make a copy of our house key? She might need to check on things when we're not home." "It's just easier this way," he replied casually. That night, I lay in bed feeling like a stranger in my own house. But the worst was yet to come. Charlotte started showing up every day after school. One afternoon, I came home to find her rearranging the living room. "This furniture layout was blocking the energy flow," she explained. "And honestly, these throw pillows. Tacky." As I opened my mouth to respond, my phone buzzed. A bank notification for a large withdrawal from our joint account. "Oh, George mentioned he needed extra cash for a work event," Charlotte said, not even looking up. "What work event?" I demanded. "He never mentioned it." "Oh, sweetheart," she cooed, "he probably didn't want to worry your pretty little head about it. I've been helping him manage the finances. He's always been terrible with money, just like his father." Later that night, I confronted George again. "Why is your mother involved in our bank accounts?" "She's helping out," he said dismissively. "She gave me $50,000 last month for an investment opportunity." "Investment? Why wasn't I informed?" "Because you just complicate things," he said. "Mom knows what she's doing." The breaking point came during parent-teacher conferences. I was discussing a student's progress when Charlotte stormed into my classroom. "There you are," she yelled. "How dare you keep my grandchildren from me? They're Martinez blood, not yours." The parent I'd been meeting with looked horrified. "Mrs. Jackson," Should I come back later? Before I could respond, Charlotte continued. This woman kidnapped my son's children. She's poisoning them against their father. Noel rushed in, drawn by the commotion. Charlotte, you need to leave now, or I'm calling the police. Go ahead, call them, she shouted. Let them know how she's alienating those precious girls from their grandmother. The principal had to escort Charlotte out while she screamed about lawyers and grandparents' rights. I was mortified. I got it all on video, Noel whispered, discreetly showing me his phone. You'll need evidence of this behavior. That evening, while George was working late, again, I found a stack of bank statements in his home office. Multiple accounts I'd never seen before, all managed by Charlotte. Looking for something, George's voice cut through the silence. He stood in the doorway, his expression dark with anger. Care to explain why your mother has access to accounts I didn't even know existed? I demanded, holding up the papers. You're going through my private things now? Mom was right about you. You're becoming unstable. Unstable? I'm not the one hiding money and letting my mother run our marriage. She's worried about the girl's safety, George shot back, his voice rising. She says you've been acting erratic at school. She caused a scene at my workplace. I shouted. She's the one who's erratic. She wouldn't have to check on you if you were a better mother and wife. Maybe if you cooked like her, kept house like her. I'm calling my lawyer, I said, shaking with rage. Mom already spoke to her friend at Thompson and Associates, he said with a smug grin. No lawyer in town will take your case. Face it, Olivia. You're alone in this. Noel's words echoed in my mind. Some people don't show their true nature until they think they have you trapped. This wasn't just meddling anymore. This was a calculated effort to isolate and control me. But they had no idea who they were dealing with. I started recording everything. If they wanted to play dirty, I could play too. The truth hit me like a truck the next day. I stopped by George's office to surprise him with lunch. His secretary, Amy, was sitting on his desk, his hands where they shouldn't be. Oh, Olivia, Amy stammered, straightening her skirt. I was just helping George with some filing. Really? On his desk? I asked, my voice icy. It's not what you think, George stammered. Actually, it's exactly what I think, I snapped. Let me guess. Your mother introduced you. Amy respects family values, right? Tradition. Authority? Mothers? I stormed out, only to find Charlotte waiting for me in the parking lot. Finally figured it out, did you? She sneered. Amy's a much better match. She knows her place. That night, Yasmin wet her bed for the first time in 2 years. Grandma says you're sick in the head, Mommy, she whispered. Are you going away? I held her close, my heart breaking. Never, baby. Who told you that? Grandma. She tells everyone at church we need to pray for you. The next day, I was served with papers. Charlotte was suing for grandparents' rights, claiming I was mentally unstable and unfit to parent. Noah, I need your help, I said, my voice trembling. This is getting dangerous. Already on it, he replied. That weekend, we installed security cameras around the house while George was conveniently away on a work retreat with Amy. It didn't take long for Charlotte to slip up. The following Tuesday, the cameras caught her sneaking in, planting prescription bottles in my nightstand. Found these in Olivia's room, she later told George. She's been hiding her medication. Who knows what else she's hiding? Her plan backfired spectacularly when I started digging into George's past. His high school sweetheart reached out after hearing rumors about me. Charlotte did the same thing to me, she confessed. Planted things in my car. Spread rumors I was unstable. George believed every word. Then she introduced him to my replacement, his college girlfriend. What happened to her? I asked. Same story, different year. Charlotte always finds a better woman, until they start having opinions of their own. Meanwhile, the twins' nightmares worsened. Crystal clung to me at school drop-off. Grandma says you're taking us away from Daddy, she sobbed. I knew I had to act fast. I contacted a lawyer in the next town, far enough from Charlotte's reach. We need everything documented, my lawyer advised. Every visit, every lie, every penny she's stolen. This isn't just meddling, it's systematic financial and emotional abuse. When George found me packing one night, he blocked the door. Where do you think you're going? Away from you and your mother's sick games, I said, my voice steady but sharp. Mom says you're having another episode. Maybe we should consider inpatient treatment. Maybe you should consider growing a spine, I snapped. The girls need their grandmother. The girls need therapy because of their grandmother, I shot back. They're terrified of her. They're fine, George insisted. Mom says. Mom says, Mom says. Do you even hear yourself? I grabbed my pre-packed bags, every detail of my escape meticulously planned. The security footage was backed up, the bank statements copied, the evidence secured. They thought they had me cornered, but they had no idea what was coming. The day I left was just the beginning. I moved in with Noah temporarily while my lawyer built our case. But Charlotte couldn't stand losing control. Late one night, Noah's security cameras caught her breaking into his house. I'll show them what an unsafe environment looks like, she muttered, pulling a bag of drugs from her purse. Too bad the police were watching the live feed. Mrs. Martinez, you're under arrest for breaking and entering and attempted evidence planting. And with that, the dominoes started to fall. George's firm launched an audit after Charlotte accidentally copied them on an email about redistributing client funds. Mrs. Martinez has been forging signatures and embezzling client money for years, the managing partner revealed. George, we trusted you with our biggest accounts. Mom was just trying to help with investments, George stammered. Help? She stole millions. You're fired, and we're pressing charges. As George's professional life crumbled, his sister Sarah came forward. She destroyed my marriage too, Sarah confessed. Told everyone I was cheating when she was the one setting my husband up with his coworker. The firm's investigation unearthed even more. Charlotte had been sabotaging George's cases, calling clients to change meeting times, and driving away his biggest accounts. In court, my lawyer laid everything bare: the planted evidence, the financial records, Charlotte's criminal charges, and George's affair. Your Honor, my lawyer declared, these children deserve protection from this systematic abuse. The judge agreed. Full custody was granted to me. Charlotte faced fraud charges for her pyramid scheme targeting church members. George, now jobless and disgraced, moved back in with Mommy Dearest, his law career in ruins. A week later, I got the call I'd been waiting for. Olivia, we'd love to have you as our new head teacher. Months later, George showed up at my school. Olivia, I'm sorry, he began, his voice heavy with regret. I see it all now. Mom's sick. She needs help. I needed help. Our daughters needed help when they were crying every night. Save it, I replied, my tone firm. Please, can we try again? For the girls? The girls are thriving without your toxic influence. They're in therapy, their nightmares are gone, and they're finally happy. Don't destroy that. But they're my daughters too. You should have thought about that before choosing your mother over their well-being. Goodbye, George. Last week, Charlotte's face appeared in the local paper. Local woman faces prison time for multi-million-dollar fraud. George was quoted defending her, still unable to break free from her control. Meanwhile, I was having dinner with Noah and the girls, celebrating their straight A's. Mommy, can we get a puppy? Yasmin asked, her eyes bright and fearless. Please? Crystal chimed in, no longer the timid little girl she once was. Why not? I smiled. Our new house has a big yard. Noah squeezed my hand under the table. You did it, Olivia. You broke the cycle. Looking at my happy, healthy daughters, I knew every struggle had been worth it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about getting free and letting fate handle the rest. The local news still mentions Charlotte's downfall now and then, but I'm too busy living my best life to care. My girls are safe, I'm thriving in my career, and most importantly, we're finally at peace. Hi everyone, I'm Nancy, a 28-year-old marketing executive at William & Brooks. What I'm about to share will absolutely blow your mind. I met James at the annual marketing summit in Chicago. He was presenting on digital transformation, and I was immediately drawn to his confidence and that warm, genuine smile. During the networking mixer, we hit it off instantly, bonding over our shared love of true crime podcasts and spicy Thai food. You're different from the usual corporate types, he said, cracking me up with his spot-on impressions of stuffy executives. Our first date was supposed to be a quick coffee, but it turned into 5 hours of nonstop conversation at a little hole-in-the-wall pizza joint. Within 6 months, we were inseparable. My best friend, Sarah, couldn't stop teasing me. Girl, you're glowing. But have you met his mother yet? She asked during one of our weekly coffee meetups. Not yet, I replied. He says she's a bit traditional. Traditional turned out to be a wild understatement. The first time I met Patricia Anderson, she gave me a look that made me feel like a contestant on The Price is Right, and I was the consolation prize. So you work in marketing? How quaint, she said, the word dripping with disdain. I always thought James would end up with someone from our country club circle. Victoria Matthews, for instance, her family has such a lovely summer home in the Hamptons. James squeezed my hand under the table. Mom, Nancy just landed the Johnson account. It's the biggest deal her firm has ever seen. How fortunate for her company, Patricia replied with a tight smile. Despite her frostiness, James proposed a year and a half later. It was perfect, until the wedding planning began. The Andersons have always married at street rages, Patricia declared at our first planning meeting. And the color scheme must be cream and gold. Anything else would be pedestrian. Actually, I countered, we were thinking of an outdoor ceremony at Riverside Gardens. Oh, how unique. I suppose some people enjoy that sort of thing, she said with a tone that suggested I had just suggested serving hot dogs at the reception. James' younger brother, Michael, pulled me aside later. Don't let her get to you, he said. She did the same thing to James' ex, Linda. Mom's got serious control issues. Even James's dad, Robert, seemed resigned. Patricia just wants the best for her son, he'd say with a weary smile, but his eyes told a different story. Sarah, on the other hand, saw right through Patricia. She's marking her territory like a designer-clad pit bull. You need to stand your ground. I tried to keep the peace, but Patricia's suggestions quickly escalated into demands. She started showing up at our apartment unannounced, always with catalogs and vendor contacts in tow. I'm just trying to help, dear, she'd say. After all, you're not exactly familiar with our social circle's expectations. The first major red flag came with an invitation to one of her tea parties, which she called a formal welcome to their social circle. I should have known better. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Nancy, Patricia announced to the room. She used to help around our house before catching James's eye. Quite the ambitious little thing. The room went silent. My cheeks burned as the women exchanged smug, knowing looks. Actually, I'm a marketing executive, I managed to say, forcing a smile. Oh, of course you are, dear. Social mobility is so inspiring, she replied with a saccharine grin. I left the party in tears and called Sarah immediately. That witch, you need to document everything. Voice recordings, texts, the works, she said. When I confronted James that night, his reaction floored me. Mom probably didn't mean it that way, he said, looking exasperated. She's just old-fashioned. You're being too sensitive. Too sensitive? I shot back. She told everyone I was your maid. She's having trouble adjusting. Give her time, he insisted. That's when I got a message from Linda, James's ex. I saw what happened at the tea party, she wrote. Patricia did the same thing to me. She told everyone I was a waitress who served James at a charity event. I was a pediatric surgeon when I met Linda for coffee. She spilled everything. Patricia had shown up at the hospital during my surgeries, telling James I was unavailable because I prioritized work. She even tried to convince my supervisor to schedule me for holidays when the Andersons had events. It was shocking, but not entirely surprising. Sarah, my best friend, had already helped me start a log of Patricia's behavior. The accidental wine spill on my presentation notes before a big meeting. The rumors she spread at the country club about my humble beginnings. The constant guilt-tripping of James about missing family events. Remember when you wanted to be a teacher? Patricia asked during dinner one evening. Before that marketing phase, the private school board still has an opening. Mom, I love my job, James said, his voice tight. Family businesses need attention, darling. Nancy surely understands that her career might need adjusting. I watched James closely, searching for a flicker of resistance, but he just stared at his plate, pushing food around with his fork. That night, as I lay awake, the truth hit me. This wasn't just about me. Patricia had a pattern, and I was merely her latest target. But unlike Linda, I wasn't going to disappear quietly. I needed evidence, allies, and a plan. Little did Patricia know, her perfect tea party had set the stage for her biggest mistake. The isolation started subtly. Our couple friends began canceling plans. My calls went unanswered. At a charity gala, I overheard whispers. She's just after the Anderson fortune. Patricia said she caught her snooping through Robert's office for financial documents. I confronted James that night. Your mother is destroying my reputation, I said. Why would Mom lie? Maybe you're just not making enough effort with her friends, he replied. Then came the emergencies, my birthday dinner. James rushed out because Patricia had fallen. My big presentation. She had chest pains. Every time, she miraculously recovered as soon as James arrived. The final straw came when my boss called me in. Nancy, someone has offered to invest heavily in our firm, on a condition we let you go. They've raised concerns about your professional conduct. Was it Patricia Anderson? I asked, my voice shaking. His silence was answer enough. That afternoon, I ran into Emma, one of Patricia's closest friends, at the coffee shop. She looked troubled. I overheard Patricia on the phone. She said, she's planning something about you and that new intern at your office. She mentioned photos. And James. My blood ran cold. The next evening, Patricia invited us to dinner. As we arrived, the young intern from my office was just leaving, looking confused. Oh, Thomas, thank you for dropping off those contracts, Patricia said sweetly. What contracts? James asked. The ones Nancy asked him to bring. They've been working very closely lately. That's a lie, I snapped. I've barely spoken to him. Then explain these, Patricia said, pulling out photos of Thomas and me at lunch. A concerned friend took these. You seem cozy. It was a team lunch, I said, my voice shaking. The entire marketing department was there. Those photos are cropped. Emma's voice rang out from the doorway. I watched Patricia plan this whole thing, she said, holding up her phone. Here's a recording of her instructing the photographer. Make sure you only get shots of Nancy with a young man. Nothing else. James's face went pale. Mom, he stammered. I was protecting you. Patricia cried. She's not good enough for this family. Michael stepped into the room, his expression grim. Like you protected James from Linda and Amanda before her, he said. Should I tell him about Dad's secretary who quit because of your rumors too? Michael. Patricia hissed, her composure cracking. No, Mom. James needs to know. Every relationship, every friendship that didn't fit your plan, you destroyed them all. James turned to me, his face stricken. Nancy, I'm so sorry. I should have. Should have what? I interrupted. Believed me? Protected me? I did everything to make this work. I tolerated the insults, the lies, the manipulation. But I won't let you destroy my career or my dignity. I pulled out my phone and showed James the texts, recordings, and witness statements I collected. I'm done, I said, my voice steady. I deserve better than this. I walked out of Patricia's perfectly decorated dining room, ignoring her protests and James's calls. Sarah was waiting in her car outside. You were right, I told her, throwing my overnight bag into the back seat. I need to choose myself. As we drove away, I saw James standing in the driveway, looking lost. But for the first time in months, I felt found. Life got exponentially better after I moved into my own apartment. 6 months of peace and focusing on myself felt like oxygen after drowning. The board unanimously voted to promote you to VP of Marketing. My boss announced one day, your handling of the Miller campaign was exceptional. You've brought in more revenue this quarter than any VP before you. Meanwhile, Patricia's carefully constructed world began to crumble. Emma exposed her manipulation to their social circle, and the country club membership she prized above all else was revoked in a very public board meeting. Then came the text from Michael. Mom wants to meet, says she'll tell you everything. Your call. I thought about Michael's message for days before agreeing to meet Patricia. The cafe was quiet, almost somber. When she arrived, I barely recognized her. The designer outfit was replaced with simple, worn clothes. Her perfectly styled hair now showed streaks of gray. Even her usual imperious posture was gone. Why? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions churning inside. Why did you do it? All of it. Her hands trembled around the coffee cup. I grew up poor, she said finally. My mother cleaned houses. When I married Robert, his family treated me exactly how I treated you. I swore my children would never marry beneath our status. She paused, her voice cracking. I became everything I once hated. That doesn't justify destroying people's lives, I said, keeping my tone firm. No, It doesn't, she admitted. I thought I was protecting James. Instead, I turned into my mother-in-law. I controlled, manipulated, destroyed. I lost myself in this persona I created. She told me Robert had filed for divorce after uncovering her manipulations in their family business. Multiple lawsuits followed when her interference came to light. The world she had carefully constructed had crumbled, and she was left to face the ruins. A few weeks later, James asked to meet one last time at our old favorite coffee shop. He looked more grounded than I'd ever seen him. "I've been in therapy," he said. "I realized I was hiding behind Mom because I was afraid of failing on my own. Letting her control everything meant never having to take responsibility. And now?" I asked. "Now I know I lost something real because I was afraid of being real myself," he said, his voice heavy with regret. "I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough to stand up for you." Linda called shortly after. "Fate finally caught up with Patricia," she said, almost gleeful. "How does it feel?" I asked her. "Honestly, I don't think about her anymore," she replied. And she was right. While Patricia faced the fallout, divorced, sued, and banned from the social circles she once dominated, I was thriving. My team won a national marketing award. I began teaching at the local university. Most importantly, I was free. Yesterday, Patricia sent me one last letter. "I know it's too late for forgiveness, but I want you to know you were always better than me, not because of status or money, but because you never let anyone dim your light. I dimmed mine so long ago I forgot it even existed." I didn't respond. Some bridges are meant to stay burned, and some apologies come too late. The last time I saw Patricia, she was sitting alone at a cafe. No designer bag in sight, no social circle to perform for. Our eyes met briefly. I smiled, raised my coffee cup in a small salute, and walked away. My life was waiting, and it was beautiful, not because I'd won, but because I had refused to lose myself. "You don't have a room here, so why don't you just sleep in the lobby like a stray dog?" The thud of my husband's luggage landing at my feet echoed louder than the words. I stood frozen in the cold spring wind, the sting of rejection settling deep in my chest. Just a week ago, when Mark suggested this family trip, my heart had leaped with hope. Maybe I thought he was finally starting to accept me as part of the family. I poured my soul into preparing for this trip, thinking it was my chance to be acknowledged. But now I see it for what it is, an illusion. A sudden shove from behind jolted me forward, slamming my shoulder into a marble column in the lobby. "Oh, Anna, you're just standing there in the way," my sister-in-law, Gemma, sneered, her voice honeyed with mock concern. "Maybe you should curl up in a corner, like the stray dog you are." Her smirk was cruel as she relished my discomfort. Behind her, I saw Mark carefully carrying Gemma's luggage, not even sparing me a glance. "Move to the far corner of the lobby," he said coldly. "Your presence only embarrasses us." With that, he walked away, shoulder to shoulder with his sister, their laughter echoing as they disappeared into the elevator. "Isn't this better than being outside in the cold?" My mother-in-law Heather chimed in, her voice sharp with derision. "Compared to being homeless, the lobby is a luxury." She sauntered past me, her laughter grating and unkind. I stared at the marble tiles beneath my feet, my vision blurred. They had reserved 3 rooms, making it clear that I wasn't welcome. For years, I had endured their cruelty, swallowing every insult and slight. Losing my father had left me yearning for the warmth of family, and I had foolishly believed that if I worked harder, if I became a better wife, they might one day accept me. But now, the ache in my shoulder was nothing compared to the storm raging inside me. Under the chandelier's cold, glittering light, I gripped my phone tightly. Something inside me was breaking, crumbling under the weight of their disdain. I took a deep breath, steadying my trembling hands. "My name is Anna James," I whispered to myself. 35 years old, a full-time housewife. I had married Mark 3 years ago, starry-eyed at the idea of becoming part of a new family. Having grown up with just my mother after my father's passing, I had always cherished the dream of family bonds. Since my 20s, I had been quietly investing in stocks, building up a $5 million portfolio. It was a deeply personal achievement, something I had never felt the need to share, not even with Mark. But everything changed one night in our first year of marriage when he came home, drunk and desperate. Through tears, he confessed to a massive gambling debt, claiming he couldn't repay it on his salary. Moved by his vulnerability, I decided to trust him. I revealed my savings, thinking it might strengthen our bond. The very next day, Mark changed. He bragged to his mother and sister about my financial success as if it were his own accomplishment. The man who had seemed so vulnerable the night before now wore a smug grin, his words hollow with pride. "Anna," he would say each month, "I'm a bit short again. Can you help?" At first, I gave in, convincing myself that marriage was about sharing burdens. But Mark spent the money recklessly, without gratitude or thought. Golf clubs, expensive outings, his indulgences piled up while his resentment simmered beneath the surface. "You're lucky to have a wife as generous as Anna," he boasts to Gemma and Heather, their sly glances betraying their envy and disdain. What they didn't know was that I had quietly been paying Gemma's $1,200 rent for years after Mark begged me to help her. "My mom's struggling," Anna Heath said, his voice laced with guilt. "I feel terrible not being able to do more." It didn't stop there. Heather, too, leaned on me financially. Her comments were veiled in sarcasm, her demands wrapped in the pretense of family unity. "Mark is lucky to have married someone wealthy," she'd say, the words cutting in their simplicity. I endured it all, every insult, every ungrateful demand, because I thought family was worth the sacrifice. My embroidery had been my one solace, a skill passed down from my mother. The cherry blossom piece we had stitched together before her passing hung in my study, a reminder of her love. But even that wasn't safe from Heather's scorn. "Embroidery? Really?" she scoffed once. "Such an old-fashioned hobby, like something a grandma would do." Her words stung, but I knew Heather's resentment wasn't entirely about me. Her bitterness was rooted in her own unhappy marriage, and I had become an easy target for her frustrations. "Anna, you'd never understand," she'd say, her tone dripping with disdain. "Without kids or a job, you don't know what real struggles are." "Yes, Anna's so old-fashioned, isn't she?" Gemma would chime in, her voice laced with mockery. Rich, but somehow so plain. When the two of them were together, they always managed to gang up on me, turning even mundane conversations into opportunities to jab at me. Mark, as usual, brushed it all off with a vague laugh. He had grown up in a single-parent household, and I knew he would never confront his mother. Sometimes he even joined in, laughing as Heather and Gemma mocked me. When we first married, I believed I could nurture a strong bond with his family. I listened to Heather's complaints, helped Gemma financially, and made every effort to strengthen our ties. In the beginning, things seemed promising. Mark was respectful of my success. Gemma was considerate, and Heather treated me like a sister. But over time, everything twisted. Mark's demands grew incessant, Gemma's dependency deepened, and Heather's bitterness sharpened. I held on, convincing myself they would one day understand and accept me. "Thank you, Anna," Gemma would say, smiling sweetly. "I'll make sure to pay this month's rent by tomorrow." But the money never came from her account. Month after month, I deposited $1,200 directly to her landlord to keep her from losing her apartment. "Mom, are you sure you've handled the rent?" I overheard Mark asking Heather once. "Oh, I'm managing just fine," she replied breezily. "I never want my son to worry about me." Her words stung, knowing full well that she relied on me financially while pretending otherwise. I could never bring myself to tell Mark the truth. The weight of their expectations hollowed me out. Mark's obliviousness, his mother's manipulation, and his sister's malice began to wear me down. Embroidery became my escape. With every stitch, I felt a connection to my late mother, as though her spirit sat beside me, guiding my hands. It was a fleeting but precious comfort. But even that refuge wasn't safe from intrusion. "Anna, why don't we all have tea together? Let's spend time as a family," Gemma would suggest. If I declined, her glare was sharp enough to cut. "How dare you act this way? Aren't we family?" Heather would pile on. "Isn't family important to you, Anna?" Even Mark didn't stand by me. "Why can't you just get along with my mom and sister?" he'd say with exasperation. Their scorn seeped into every corner of my life. What had once been a source of joy, my embroidery, now felt like an indulgence I wasn't allowed to have. Each prick of the needle became a reminder of guilt and judgment. My home, which should have been my sanctuary, was suffocating. One evening, as I sat in silence, Mark approached me. "Anna, I want to get new golf clubs," he said, his tone casual but insistent. When I hesitated, his expression darkened. "Oh, I get it. Someone from a poor background like me doesn't deserve anything nice, right? And then there was Gemma. Her calls were no longer surprising. I could really use help with rent again this month, she'd say, her tone feigning gratitude. Without a word, I transfer the payment directly to her landlord. One day, as I made yet another transfer, something snapped. "Mom, is that a new handbag?" Mark's voice startled me. I looked up to see Gemma proudly showing off a designer bag. How could she afford it if she was struggling with rent? The realization hit me like a slap. My support wasn't helping. It was enabling. Mark, oblivious, grinned. "Mom's got the good stuff. Anna, you should treat me too." I found myself questioning why I continued to enable their behavior. I was trapped by a false sense of duty, held hostage by the hope that things might change. Then, out of the blue, Mark suggested something unexpected. "Hey, Anna, let's do something special for your birthday this year. Just the two of us." I blinked in surprise. In our 3 years of marriage, we had never celebrated my birthday together. "I'll plan everything," he said, a rare enthusiasm lighting up his face. "It's your birthday after all." He showed me pictures of luxury hotels, scrolling through his phone with excitement. "How about somewhere nearby, like Napa or Carmel?" I nodded quietly, touched by his sudden effort. For the first time in years, I felt a flicker of hope. "It might be better to book it under your name," he added casually. "You know, for credibility." His words gave me pause, but I brushed it aside, eager for the chance to rekindle our connection. As the trip date approached, Mark's behavior grew strange. I brushed it off at first, but 3 days before the trip, Mark came home earlier than usual. His tone made my heart sink. "There's something I want to talk to you about," he said, sitting down with a forced seriousness. "My mom found a restaurant nearby she really wants to try, so I thought it would be nice to invite her along." I barely whispered the question, feeling an uneasy weight settle in my chest. "Why?" "Come on, Anna. She'd love it. It'll be family time." His words were light, but the undertone was clear. Family meant his mother, his sister, and maybe me. "Oh, and my sister will be coming too," he added, his hesitation betraying his discomfort. His expression made it obvious. I'd never been the priority. What was supposed to be my birthday trip, I thought, had somehow morphed into a family affair. He tried to soften it, his voice laced with sympathy. "My sister's husband and she had a big argument so she could use the break, you know." The rehearsed quality of his explanation only added to my unease. "But this was supposed to be my birthday," I said, my voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and frustration. "What's the problem? It's just family." His tone sharpened, blaming me for resisting. "So what, Anna? Are you really that against having them with us?" His gaze hardened, daring me to argue. I swallowed my response, feeling like another battle had been won by him. The morning of the trip, Gemma and Heather were waiting by the station as though they'd always planned to come along. "Anna, we're all set to go, right?" Heather's voice held that familiar taunting sweetness. "Isn't this just perfect? A family trip for your birthday." Her words dripped with sarcasm, and with each one, my last ounce of hope crumbled. 3 years of marriage, all my sacrifices, all my hope for a meaningful connection, and this was how it ended up. Waiting quietly on the platform, I closed my eyes, feeling the faint breeze on my cheek. "Oh, Mark, I'd love one of those nice lunches." Heather's voice pierced through the quiet deliberately loud. She looped her arm through Mark's, ignoring me completely. "Sure, Mom, I'll pay," Mark said, already focused on them. He held out his hand to me without so much as a glance. I handed over my wallet, feeling the sting of his disregard. "I'll have the shrimp stir-fry, just like Mark's order," Heather said with a self-satisfied look as she placed her order. "Same for me. Nothing like family enjoying the same thing, huh?" Gemma and Heather exchanged smug grins, leaving me on the outside of what was supposed to be my special day. On a train, Mark sat between his mother and sister, with me relegated to a separate seat across the aisle. "So, Mark, last night was awful." "My husband, well, you know how he is," Gemma complained, her voice cutting through the air. I sat quietly, the weight of their words pressing down on me. "And Anna, without kids or a career, you wouldn't understand what I go through." "True. Anna's got it easy, doesn't she?" They both laughed, and Mark gave a small chuckle, as though it was all harmless. By the time we reached the hotel, they had shattered any illusion of a warm birthday celebration. "Hello, Mr. James. Your reservation includes 2 rooms," the receptionist said. Mark turned to me, a smug smile curling on his lips. "Oh, Anna, I only booked 2 rooms. Mom and I will share one, and my sister has her own." "Where am I supposed to stay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "There's enough room for you. But hey, the lobby has some comfy couches. Lucky you, right?" He grinned, his words dripping with insincerity. Gemma and Heather laughed openly, not even trying to hide their satisfaction. "Look on the bright side, Anna. Better here than outside in the cold like some stray dog," Heather mocked. Mark grabbed my wallet again, extracting a few bills. "Don't worry, Anna. We'll grab some drinks in your honor." Without a second glance, he walked off with his mother and sister, leaving me standing alone in the lobby. As they left, a strange calm settled over me. It was a turning point. I took out my phone and sent a quick message to a contact. "Is there anything we can help with, Miss James?" "Yes, actually," I responded, a faint smile tugging at my lips. I spoke to the owner, and he assured me I'd be well accommodated. The hotel staff's demeanor changed instantly, recognizing the hotel owner's name. "We're terribly sorry, Miss James. Let me alert the manager immediately." I watched as they scrambled to assist me, finally feeling a hint of satisfaction as they upgraded me to the presidential suite. A private dinner was arranged, and I was treated like the only guest that mattered. By the time Mark and his family realized where I was already enjoying a gourmet meal alone in quiet luxury. Mark sent panicked texts, but I ignored them. His growing frustration added to my quiet triumph. For once, I enjoyed my birthday free from their scrutiny, knowing this was the beginning of my freedom. The next morning, I left the hotel as quietly as I had arrived, having settled everything on Mark's credit card. It was time to take my life back, leaving them to deal with their own pettiness. The staff's polite smiles as I departed made me feel more supported than my own family ever had. On the train back, I turned off my phone, not wanting to be disturbed by the inevitable frenzy awaiting them at the hotel. A few hours later, Mark and his family were in a panic. "This has to be a mistake. Just wait a minute." Mark's face went pale as the front desk explained the charges. His realization dawned. His card had maxed out. "What kind of woman would do this to her husband?" Heather screeched. "She's just shameless. How could she leave us here with this bill?" The hotel staff calmly informed them that they'd be allowed to settle the bill later, a courtesy thanks to my connections. But they had no idea how badly this would impact their social standing. When I returned home, the house was silent. But for the first time in years, I felt at peace. I opened the curtains to let in the fresh spring sunlight and sat down, breathing deeply, feeling a sense of relief. An hour later, the front door slammed open, followed by Mark's furious voice. "Anna, what the hell were you thinking?" he demanded, his anger palpable. His mother's high-pitched voice joined in, followed by Gemma's sneering remarks. They raised their voices, trying to humiliate me into submission. I watched them silently, my expression unreadable. "Why don't we continue this discussion outside?" I suggested calmly, catching them off guard. "You wouldn't want the neighbors to hear, would you?" They paused, realizing the implications of what I'd said. I walked them out, finally ready to confront everything they'd hidden for so long. "By the way," I said, my voice steady, "here's the truth about the support I've given your mother these past years." Mark's expression shifted as I explained how I quietly covered Heather's rent for 3 years. "That arrangement is over." Heather's face went pale, her earlier arrogance replaced by desperation. "But Anna, please, you can't just stop like this," she pleaded. "I can, and I already have," I replied coolly. I informed Gemma that her petty posts about me had been well documented and were now shared with her husband, who was already filing for divorce. One by one, they began to understand the weight of their actions and how their dependency on me had led them to this point. A few weeks later, Mark came by to collect the rest of his things. I wore a simple black dress, knowing this was our last goodbye. "Can't we start over?" he asked, his voice pleading. "You spent years treating me like a monster wife." I stepped closer, my voice calm. "Well, I hope you enjoyed it. There's no need for me to act like the villain anymore. This is the end." A few days later, I received a package. Inside was one of my cherished embroidery pieces, carefully wrapped with a note. "From Mark's niece. Apologies." It was a small but powerful reminder that kindness and understanding didn't come from status or force. but from genuine connection. My embroidery classes began shortly after. I poured myself into teaching, sharing what my mother had taught me. Each time I worked, I felt that deep connection to her spirit. I had finally found my peace, not by forcing anyone to be family, but by building my own circle of support and joy, just as my mother would have wanted. My name is Karen Charles, and if there's one thing I've always strived for, it's making my family proud. My parents, mom and dad, raised us with strong values: family first, hard work, and always supporting one another. Those lessons shaped me into the person I am today, someone who fought her way up to marketing director at Anthony and Associates by the time I turned 32. My husband, Larry Chen, has been my unwavering support through it all. We met 5 years ago during a coffee shop mishap. He accidentally spilled his latte all over my meticulously prepared presentation papers. I was furious at first, but somehow, that chaotic moment turned into something beautiful. Larry has been my rock ever since. You're going to love Deborah. She's absolutely perfect. My brother Nathan had gushed 2 years ago about his then girlfriend. Nathan, the ever-talented architect, met her at a client's office where she worked as an HR manager. "I've never seen your brother this happy," Mom whispered to me during their engagement party. She was right. Nathan practically glowed whenever he was around Deborah, and she seemed like everything we could ask for in a new family member. The first 6 months after their wedding were like a dream. Deborah charmed everyone. She came to our weekly Sunday dinners with homemade desserts, thoughtful gifts, and a knack for making everyone feel special. My friends adored her. "Karen, you're so lucky to have such an amazing sister-in-law," they'd say after meeting her at our social gatherings. And I agreed. Deborah seemed flawless, a radiant addition to the family. When a position opened up in the HR department at my company, I immediately thought of Deborah. "Are you sure about this, honey?" Larry asked one evening as I prepared her recommendation letter. Mixing family and business can be tricky. Of course, she's qualified, and it'll be great having her around. Plus, she's been talking about wanting a change, I said confidently. Our parents were thrilled. Sunday dinners felt more special with both couples there. Nathan would entertain us with stories about his latest architectural projects, while Larry and Deborah debated office politics and workplace dynamics. "You used to draw building plans in crayon," I teased Nathan one night. "And you made me play office with your stuffed animals," he shot back with a laugh. "You two have such a special bond." Deborah chimed in, her smile warm. But looking back, perhaps it hid something darker. I didn't realize it at the time, but Deborah's kindness was a mask. Behind those perfect smiles and thoughtful gestures, she was already scheming to destroy everything I held dear. The first sign came during our company's annual marketing summit. I was presenting a critical campaign to potential clients when I noticed Deborah whispering to our biggest client's wife. "I just thought you should know what kind of person is handling your husband's account." Deborah's voice carried across the room during a pause in my presentation. The client's wife turned red and left abruptly. Days later, the client pulled their account. 3 years of work gone. Larry found me crying in the kitchen that evening. "They pulled their account, Larry," I said through tears. 3 years of effort, and now it's all gone." "Did they say why?" he asked, pulling me into his arms. "The wife accused me of having an affair with her husband," I whispered, barely believing the words myself. The rumors spread like wildfire. I overheard whispers in the break room. "I heard Karen sleeps with her clients," one voice said. "No wonder she's so successful," another replied. When I tried to talk to Nathan about Deborah's behavior, his response floored me. "Maybe you're just jealous that she's doing well in HR," he said coolly. "Are you serious, Nate? She's spreading lies about me?" I snapped. "There you go again, making everything about you," he shot back. "Deborah told me how you're constantly undermining her at work. How you're always showing off your position. Tensions have been brewing for weeks, and Sunday dinner at my parents' house only made things worse." Mom, ever perceptive, finally said what everyone was thinking. "You two barely look at each other anymore. What's going on?" Nathan muttered under his breath. "Ask your perfect daughter. She's probably upset about how Deborah breathes too loudly or something." "That's not fair," I began, but Deborah cut me off with her syrupy, fake sweet voice. "Oh, it's nothing serious," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Karen's just been under a lot of pressure at work. Some clients have been difficult. The way she lingered on the word difficult made my blood boil, but I bit my tongue for Mom's sake. The final straw came during the biggest project of my career. I'd spent months developing a revolutionary marketing campaign for a major tech giant, a project that could redefine our company's future. But on the morning of the pitch, disaster struck. My competitors somehow had our entire presentation, down to the last detail. The room was buzzing with whispers before I even began, and I knew something was wrong. My boss called me into his office later that day, his tone sharp. Care to explain how our confidential pitch ended up in every major agency's inbox? I froze. What? That's impossible. Only my team had access, and HR, he added, the implication clear. That evening, Deborah had the audacity to text me. Heard about the pitch. Such a shame when things don't work out. Maybe stick to smaller clients next time. I showed the message to Nathan, hoping he'd finally see what she was doing. She's just trying to be supportive in her own way, he said defensively. Supportive? She's destroying everything I've worked for. Nathan glared at me. See, this is exactly what Deborah means. You always think everyone's out to get you. Maybe if you weren't so focused on being perfect all the time. I watched him walk away, blind to the manipulation. That night, another message from Deborah buzzed on my phone. Family dinner this Sunday should be interesting. Hope you're ready for what's coming. Her words felt like a threat, and I knew she wasn't done. The Crystal Room at Lizen was packed for my parents' 35th wedding anniversary. It should have been a joyful celebration, but I couldn't ignore the storm brewing. Deborah, wine glass in hand, grew louder with every refill. A toast, she slurred, raising her glass. To perfect marriages, she glanced at me with a mocking smile. Like Karen's picture-perfect life with Larry. Some of us aren't so lucky, right, Nathan? Nathan leaned toward her, whispering, maybe you should slow down. Why? She snapped. So your sister can keep pretending she's better than everyone. Her voice cut through the room, always the golden child. The perfect daughter. Perfect wife. Perfect everything. Mom tried to calm her. Sweetheart, let's focus on celebrating. Oh, I am celebrating, Deborah interrupted, stumbling to her feet and grabbing her purse. Celebrating the fact that I finally have proof of what a manipulative witch your daughter really is. She pulled out a stack of papers, waving them dramatically. Look what I found, emails between Karen and Nathan. She's been telling him to leave me for months. That's not true. I stood, my heart pounding. Nathan, I haven't even been able to reach you for weeks because I blocked her number, Deborah interrupted with a smirk. She turned to Nathan. For your own good, baby. Look at these messages she sent. Nathan grabbed the papers, his face shifting as he read. These dates. I never received these emails. And this isn't Karen's email address. This is a fake account. What? Deborah's smug expression faltered. And these responses, I never wrote these. He stared at her, his voice breaking. Deborah, what did you do? The room fell silent until Maria, Deborah's assistant, stepped forward hesitantly. I can't stay quiet anymore, she said, pulling out her phone. I have something everyone needs to see. She pressed play on a video. Deborah's voice rang out clearly. I want every email between Nathan and his sister intercepted. Forward them to me before deleting them. And send these fake responses from the account I created. Karen Charles needs to learn her place. A collective gasp rippled through the room. Nathan's face went ashen. You've been intercepting my messages, he whispered, making me think Karen was ignoring me. I had to. Deborah cried. She was turning you against me. She's always been jealous of our marriage. Jealous? I said, unable to hold back. You've been spreading lies about me, sabotaging my projects, and tearing my relationships apart, and I'm the jealous one. Maria stepped forward again. She also leaked the Thompson campaign details to competitors. I have the emails proving it. Nathan turned to Deborah, his voice cold. We're done. Don't bother coming home tonight. The room buzzed with whispers as Deborah stood frozen, her mask finally shattered. Nathan turned to me, tears in his eyes. Karen, I'm so sorry. I should have seen it sooner. Dad put his arms around both of us, just like he used to when we were kids. The truth always comes out, he said softly. Always. A week after the disastrous restaurant scene, I was called into HR to give my statement. Security footage had caught Deborah accessing confidential files after hours and tampering with employee communications. Maria provided a meticulous record of every illegal action she'd witnessed, and the case against Deborah was ironclad. All harassment claims have been substantiated, my boss announced during a company-wide meeting. Deborah Miller has been terminated, effective immediately. That evening, Nathan called me. His voice was shaking. I just got off the phone with my bank. She's been stealing from our joint accounts for months, nearly $60,000. Gone. Oh my God, Nathan, what are you going to do? I filed for divorce this morning, he said, his voice heavy. But that's not all. Remember when she claimed her old boss was harassing her? Turns out, she was the one harassing her coworkers. They've been warning potential employers about her for years. By the next Sunday dinner, the first peaceful one in months, Nathan had uncovered even more. She had a whole folder of fake emails, manipulated photos, even a list of people she planned to turn against me, he confessed, shaking his head. I was such a fool. You weren't a fool, Mom said gently, squeezing his hand. You were in love with the person she pretended to be. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from Maria. Thought you'd want to know. Deborah's been job hunting, but her harassment record follows her everywhere. No one will touch her. 2 months later, I finally got the promotion I'd been working so hard for. During the celebration dinner, Nathan raised his glass. To my sister, he said, his voice filled with gratitude, who never stopped being there for me, even when I pushed her away. After dinner, Dad called us all into the living room. Just got word from Uncle Steve, he began. Deborah's moved back in with her parents. No job, no money, no friends left. Even her own family barely speaks to her after learning what she did. I heard she tried starting rumors about me at other companies, I added, but no one believes her anymore. Her reputation's destroyed. Karma, Mom said, surprising us all. Not that I wish her ill, but sometimes people create their own punishment. Nathan looked at the family photos on the wall, real memories, not the fake perfection Deborah had tried to manufacture. You know what's funny, he said. She was so worried about you ruining her marriage, Karen. But in the end, she destroyed everything. All by herself. Looking around at my family, stronger and closer than ever, I realized something. Despite all the pain and chaos Deborah had caused, she had given us a gift. Sometimes it takes facing someone's worst to fully appreciate the best in those who truly love you. Hi, I'm Ashley Michael, a 28-year-old financial analyst at Morgan Stanley. While I take pride in my career, my heart has always been tied to our family business. You really should let me help with the books, Dad. I do this for a living. Everything's fine, Princess. Mark's got it handled. That exchange at our weekly family dinner churned my stomach. My father, Thomas Michael, wasn't just being stubborn. Something was off. At 58, he should have been basking in the success of Michael Auto Parts, the business he built from a single store into a 12-location chain spanning 3 states. Instead, dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his hands trembled when holding his fork. Your brother's doing great managing the finances. Focus on your own career, Dad added. Sure, if great meant running 3 previous businesses into the ground. Mark, my older brother and Dad's golden child, joined the family business 5 years ago after his latest failed startup. Even after Mom passed when we were kids, Mark could do no wrong in Dad's eyes. Ashley, you won't believe what I found reviewing those contracts you mentioned. Lisa's voice crackled over the phone later that night. My best friend and corporate lawyer had an uncanny knack for sniffing out trouble. Please tell me it's good news, I said. Not exactly. The paperwork is strange. Like really strange. Determined to get answers, I stopped by the flagship store that week. Mike, the longtime manager, pulled me aside. Miss Ashley, something ain't right. Your brother's been having meetings after hours. What kind of meetings? I asked. The kind where folks don't look like they're here to buy car parts, if you know what I mean. Just then, Mark's wife, Helen, waltzed in, dripping with new jewelry. Oh, didn't expect to see you here. Don't you have your own job to worry about? She sneered. Nice bracelet, Helen. Must have cost a fortune. Mark takes care of me, she replied, her voice sugary sweet. Unlike some people, I know how to be grateful to this family. That night at dinner, I watched Dad push his food around his plate while Mark bragged about his latest business strategy. Mom would have seen right through this. She used to say family secrets were like engine problems. Ignore them, and everything falls apart. The quarterly numbers look fantastic, Mark announced, grinning. But Dad's hand shook as he reached for his wine. Maybe I could take a look, I offered. Back off, Ashley, Mark snapped. You're not part of this. Dad's face paled. Ashley, please, just trust us to handle this. I nodded, but deep down, I knew something was very wrong. The first red flag was the missing delivery trucks, 3 of them gone, with no paperwork explaining where or why. During a walkthrough of the warehouse, Mike grabbed my arm. Miss Ashley, your brother's been having more of those late meetings. Last night, some guys in fancy suits showed up. They weren't looking for spark plugs. Thanks, Mike. Keep an eye out for me, I said. As I headed to Dad's office, shouting stopped me in my tracks. Where's the rest of it, Mark? They're not going to wait forever. Dad's voice was laced with panic. I'll handle it. Just keep quiet and let me fix this, Mark yelled back. Peeking through the crack in the door, I saw Dad gripping his desk, his face ashen. Mark paced the room, running his hands through his hair, his telltale sign of losing control. Days later, Helen sauntered into the store with a new designer bag dangling from her arm. Look what Mark bought me, she gloated. Isn't he the most generous husband? That's quite a spending spree you're on, Helen. Business must be booming. Oh, honey, you have no idea. Maybe if you weren't so busy playing detective, you'd actually find someone to spoil you too. Helen's words rang in my ears long after she left. That evening, I waited until the store emptied before slipping into Dad's office. My heart sank when I found the note in his drawer. Time's running out. Pay up, or everyone learns the truth. Dad, we need to talk about this, I said the next day, confronting him. Everything's fine, Ashley. Please just stay out of it, he insisted. You've lost $15 million in 2 months. That's not fine. Before Dad could respond, Mark stormed into the office, his eyes blazing. Why can't you just mind your own business? He barked. Mark, stop. Dad's voice trembled. No, she needs to back off. His words carried a weight I couldn't ignore. That night, I called Lisa. I need your help. Something's seriously wrong, and I think Mark's involved in something illegal, I told her. Send me everything. Bank statements, inventory reports, all of it, Lisa said. And Ashley, be careful. This feels bigger than just cooking the books. Lisa and I worked late into the night, poring over documents spread across her dining room table. Holy crap, she muttered, pointing to a stack of invoices. These are fake. Mark's been inflating parts orders to funnel money through the business. I sifted through bank statements, my hands shaking. Look at these withdrawals, $50,000 here, $30,000 there. Where's it all going? Lisa's face darkened. These amounts match deposits at Crown Casino. Ashley, your brother's got gambling debts. Big ones. Mike, the store manager, later confirmed what we feared. He captured footage of Mark meeting shady men in suits at 2 a.m., money exchanging hands. And Dad, he looked terrified in the background. There's more, Lisa said, pulling up Helen's bank records. Your sister-in-law has offshore accounts. They've been hiding assets. Then my phone buzzed. It was Mike. They're here again, he whispered. Your brother's screaming at your dad about some payment being due. Miss Ashley, they mentioned your name. I raced to the store. When I arrived, I found Dad slumped in his office chair, tears streaming down his face. Daddy, please tell me what's happening, I begged. I can't, he whispered, his voice breaking. He said he'd hurt you. Who? These people Mark owes money to. They're dangerous. If I didn't help cover his debts, they'd come after you first. How much does he owe? $2 million. The gambling, the drugs, I've been selling everything I can. But it's not enough. They gave us until Friday. Before I could respond, the office door slammed open. Mark stood there, his face twisted with rage. You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Had to play detective. How could you do this to Dad? To the business? Mom wooled. Shut up, he roared. You don't understand what's at stake. I understand you're a pathetic addict, I snapped. You'd rather threaten your own family than face the consequences. Mark, please, Dad pleaded. We can find another way. There is no other way. Mark shouted. His finger jabbed toward me. And you've ruined everything. Helen just called the bank. She froze our accounts. What did you do? He spat. What you should have done years ago, I shot back. I'm protecting this family. Mark lunged at me, but Dad stepped between us. Touch her, and I'll call them myself, Dad said, his voice firm. It's over, son. Mark's face hardened. You're both dead to me. When they come collecting, don't expect me to protect you anymore. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Through the window, I watched as he climbed into a black SUV, the same one from the security footage. Dad, pack a bag, I said, my voice steady. You're staying with me tonight. Tears streamed down his face as he nodded. Ashley, I'm so sorry. I thought I could handle it. We'll fix this, I told myself. But first, I needed to make some calls. Sometimes, karma just needs a little push. Taking a deep breath, I hit send. The anonymous email detailing Helen's offshore accounts went straight to Mark's business associates. 3 days later, Helen stormed into the store, her face red and streaked with tears. They took everything. The cars, the jewelry, my bags. Mark, what did you do? She screamed. Shut up. Just shut up. Mark's face turned purple with rage. Someone told him about our accounts. They're threatening to break my legs. Helen didn't flinch. I want a divorce. My lawyer's already drawing up the papers. The next morning, 2 IRS agents showed up at the store. Someone, definitely not Lisa, had tipped them off about years of unreported income. The fraud department from our insurance company wasn't far behind. Your brother's going away for a while, Lisa told me over coffee later that week. Tax evasion. Funny how that always gets them. Al Capone went down the same way. Meanwhile, Dad was busy signing new ownership papers, officially making Mike a full partner. I should have trusted you from the start, Princess, Dad said, his voice heavy with regret. Mark, he stopped being my son the moment he threatened you. Dad, the business is going to be fine, I reassured him. Our new inventory system is already showing better profits. A few days later, my phone buzzed with a restricted number. Mark's voice crackled through the line. Ashley, please, I'm facing serious time. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't reply. I hung up and blocked the number. 6 months later, Dad and I stood together in the newly renovated flagship store. The fresh sign outside read, Michael and Sons Auto Parts. Family owned since 1985. Your mother would be proud, Dad said, squeezing my hand. She always said you had her business sense. Mike mentioned casually. We got a postcard. From Mark's ex-wife. She's in Miami now, living with some rich developer. Mark? He's looking at 8 years minimum. I tossed the postcard in the trash. Some people call it karma. I call it justice. The business is thriving now. Dad's smiling again, teaching Mike everything he knows. And me? I still run the books, but differently than Mark ever did. Every dollar accounted for, every transaction clean. Last week, I got another letter from Mark. I didn't even open it. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. You ever miss him? Dad asked during our weekly family dinner. I miss who I thought he was, I admitted. But that person never really existed. We raised our glasses. To family, the real kind. The kind that builds you up instead of tearing you down. Mark's old office is my workspace now. Sometimes karma does need a push, but once it starts rolling, you'd better get out of its way. What would you do if you discovered your sibling was hiding crimes and threatening your family to keep it secret? Would you expose them immediately or try to handle it quietly? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories of dealing with toxic family members and how you protected yourself and your loved ones. If this story of standing up to betrayal resonated with you, hit subscribe for more real stories about overcoming toxic relationships and finding justice. New videos every week about survival, revenge, and coming out stronger. Don't forget to like and share if you enjoyed this story of karma finally catching up to those who deserve it.